Those green poops, though.
Just wait. Just wait.
Oh, does one of y'all want to like tweet this out? I didn't even think about that.
You
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Let me find.
Hey now,
Don't dream
it's over. Hey, by the way,
Yeah.
question. Shouldn't we be like sending out the Dead Air podcast site
You're what?
as opposed to like the Google Hangouts?
I
link?
usually do, but I have trouble sometimes with caching, and if you put it on Facebook and you send it out on Facebook that way, then Facebook will be like, hey, it's the 5th year anniversary, and then people are like, that was last week, and then I'm like, fuck you, it's not Google. Facebook.
Okay, gotcha.
Off. Alright.
Fuck you, Facebook. Zuckerberg. I'm like Zuckerberg.
Oh shit, he went there. We just got
right. Oh yeah.
And we're gonna earn that PG-13 rating.
That's right. I'm gonna blow up Zuckerberg's spot.
Welcome to the Dead Air Horror and Genre Podcast.
Mr. Popper.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Air Horror and Genre Podcast. I'm Jeff Konopka, and tonight I am here with the one and only Mr. Jesse Bartell.
I like to cast from a pod. I do it weekly.
And that wrestling superhero who wears his underpants on the outside of his clothes, Mr. Chad E. Young.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chad E. Young, and I am the advocate for the 1 in 31 that is Halloween. My name is Chad E. Young.
His rap name is Young Chad.
Yeah, that's right. Young Chad. Y-U-N-G, and then Chad.
Chad's bad.
My song will be called The Power Glove Son.
There you go.
And we are here today. If you're just listening for the first time, we generally get together once a week and talk about a particular genre film that has either hit theaters or VOD. And this week we are going to talk about Eli Roth's The Green Inferno, which came out in the movie theaters last weekend and has been the source of, I don't want to say controversy, but discussion on the internet amongst horror fans, which isn't really too surprising because it's Eli Roth. But we can have that discussion in a little bit. So if you want to find any of our other episodes, you can just go to deadairpodcast.net. You can also listen to us live when we record this show at deadairpodcast.net/live. We're on iTunes. We're pretty much everywhere that you can get your podcasts. And if you want to subscribe through iTunes, it's really easy, deadairpodcast.net/iTunes. And then find us on Facebook and all those other places. And if you do listen through iTunes, we'd really appreciate a review. So if you want to leave us a review on there, that'd be awesome. We got a new one that came through from, I think it was from somebody called Sam Hain, who said that they really liked the show. So we really appreciate that. So thank you.
I know who it is. Yep.
And you left that because we really appreciate it. It's cool. So last week we celebrated our 5th year anniversary, and that was a lot of fun. And it's definitely I think an interesting conversation. It's one of our longer shows. It was little bit over 3 hours, I think. I don't think tonight's show is going to be that long.
It's not like that Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
No.
Wait, what happened?
Do you want to tell this story, Jesse?
We podcasted about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but it was like 4.5 hours or something.
Why?
I don't know.
What about that movie says...
Couldn't tell you.
It wasn't all about that. We just started. That's where the whole thing kind of really started from.
Yeah, that's where people really start making fun of us.
Because we were just like, well, fucking Chakma and Sasquatch.
Chakma!
We're talking about ape exploitation.
And that one where the what was that one with the orangutan with the girl? Or not the orangutan.
Congo.
No, yeah, Congo. What was her name? Lucy? Amy? The Amy?
Yeah, Amy. My wife's name.
Excuse me. I apologize for that.
I was thinking if young Chad made an album, it could be called Hanging Chad.
Oh shit! Oh, it would be like what was it? The Grave Diggers, where they were like in a like an empty grave, and like one of them was hanging from a tree. You guys remember that band? The Grave. Was that who it was, Jeff?
Grave Diggers.
Grave Diggers.
Yeah, I love the Grave Diggers.
Shit.
I was just listening to them earlier.
That video was terrible, though. It was just atrocious.
Yeah, dude, but that album, that album, 6 Feet Deep, is so good. Like, you don't even understand.
I have and I believe you, and that's the thing, but I just have such a hard time getting over how terrible that terrible video is.
Well,
it's like rapping from an empty grave.
You should really listen to that record, Chad, and you will understand what I'm talking about. And then you will be like, man, I feel stale because I was just knocking on the... And that one guy died from cancer, so fuck you, Chad.
So, I'm sorry that he died from cancer, but that doesn't mean it's still a good fucking video. Terrible.
I didn't say it wasn't a bad video.
Hanging from a tree, and he's like throwing gang signs up.
On next week's podcast, Chad shames cancer.
I guess we might as well get that out of the way here. So don't forget.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm still watching this video.
Chad's just losing his shit. Chad, you should mute yourself for a minute then.
Okay, hold on.
Get your shit together. Oh my lord. As we lose listeners left and right tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Chad Young. So yeah, just some house cleaning. Next week we are going to be doing a show, and that will probably be our last show for the month of October because shit just gets way too busy around here in October. So I don't know what movie we're reviewing next week. So I guess
Halloween 2.
Wicker Man.
Stay tuned for that, and we'll make some sort of decision. There's a few movies that have come out on VOD over the last couple of weeks, and some of them are alright. There's a couple I haven't seen that I don't know if they're worth watching. So if anyone out there listening has any ideas or you want to hear us talk about this, a specific movie that maybe is new or recent or maybe even not so new, but just something you want to hear us talk about, you can tweet it out to us, either Jesse or myself, because I believe it's just going to be Jesse and I, because Chad is going to see Trick or Treat.
Sammy Kerr. Fuck yeah!
So it'll just be Jesse and I. Really what it is Chad is going and watching wrestling.
Wrestling.
You know what? I'm just... You know what? Fuck it. Me and Chuck Connors are going to just talk about wrestling figures.
They're going to start a wrestling podcast. It's all just going to be all about Walmart.
And dolls.
And dolls.
What the fuck just happened? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, Chad.
Chad and technology.
Chad
we could do Deathgasm.
Is that out on VOD?
Yeah, today it came out, I think.
Okay. I mean, we could watch that.
I got to double check myself. But
I think watch that.
I'd totally watch that. I've heard good things.
So unless somebody has a different opinion or
it's out.
Idea,
it's out.
Then let us know, I guess, and we will either review Deathgasm or something else. But you can stay tuned. We'll post it up on Facebook and on Twitter where we're at. So all that kind of good stuff. But there's definitely a lot coming down in October, and it's
What the
going to
fuck
be.
just happened?
You dropped off the call, is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Oh, the wonders of the internet and
How does they
live
work?
radio. I don't know. You should ask Shaggy 2 Dope.
Oh shit! Wait, does
Or
he
you-
have a video where he's
Dylan
hanging
might
from a
know,
tree
though.
too?
Dylan might
Nope.
know. I know I'm not supposed to say this.
We're not supposed to say it. Although he did just
So-
post a Juggalo thing on my wall, so I don't know.
Yeah, he did. So
Oh.
you know what?
He's
Dylan.
perpetuating the rumers then.
Yeah.
So.
He's an
You can't
enabler.
you can't post Juggalo stuff on our Facebooks or tweet at us things of Juggalos and then get upset when we tag you in Juggalo stuff.
It's like
He's
vampires.
still
You
hanging
let it
from a
go.
tree. I'm sorry.
Oh my
I
Lord.
need to stop
Chad
watching.
is just-
I need to close this.
Wait, what song is it?
I don't fucking know. It's the video. I have it on mute.
Well, doesn't it say the name, Chad?
I'm not. I just closed it. I forgot the name. Hold on.
No, don't open it again. We really don't need to go back there.
It's in an empty grave rap, and he was like, "Yo, yo, yo, I'm a rapper. I'm a rappist."
That's how they do.
So anyhow, how are you doing today, Jesse?
I'm pretty good. I went to GameStop and I got a game, and then it didn't work, so now I have to go back tomorrow and deal
What
with
game was it?
that. It was Call of Duty Ghosts, and I only got it because it's a long, stupid story. But basically, is that I like to play every one that comes out, and I don't really like the series, but I like to play.
Just so you can play. Dude, it's like hate gaming.
Kinda. Well, not even, because there's always like something to kind of like about it, like the mechanics and whatever is very smooth. But I just like to see, like, it's a good, for me, it's always like a good indicator of like what the AAA business is doing. So I always wait till they get really, because I don't really love them, so I wait till they get like $20 and then I'll buy whatever's $20. So I'm a little behind. So I went to get Ghosts today to play that and just figure, like, see why people hated it so much. And I came back tonight, I just installed it, I just went to boot it up, and it's like, cannot play, disk is like scratched or something. And I tried it 3 times, and that happened. So now I have to go back tomorrow and deal with that, blah, blah. And I didn't tell you my DMX story.
Oh,
Jesus.
please do.
Well, no, I didn't see DMX. But I forgot to talk about last week that I met DMC, and then we were talking about music, because I was saying, like, oh, well, like, Raising Hell is probably one of my, like, favorite hip-hop albums of, like, ever, like, that. I said Black on Both Sides by Mos Def, and he's like, oh, man, I love Mos Def. He's like, I was like, and I love Black Star, too. And, but I was like, Talib didn't really do much after Black Star that was, like, really notable. He's like, yeah. And he's like, they always want those two to be together, and they don't want them to do their own thing. And I was like, yeah, but I really like Mos Def. But anyway, so we got to talking, and then because then we moved to, because Mos Def has an acting career, so we were talking about like how he's doing acting and he's doing okay. And he's like, there are just some people who are doing music and they just should not act. I was like, yeah, like Curtis Jackson. He goes, yeah. And then he goes, but you know who's pretty good? He's like, DMX. I'm like, okay, DMX. So then he told me this anecdote that he had about you remember the movie Exit Wounds?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one with Steven Seagal?
Yeah.
In the long line of DMX and Steven Seagal movies, because whoever thought that pairing those two up together was a great idea.
I think it was Exit Wounds. It was right around that time when he was doing a lot of movies. I'm trying to see when that was 2001. I think that was 2001. They're showing the actor 15 credits. So Exit Wounds.
Credits.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was just like he did Exit Wounds, he did Romeo Must Die, Cradle to the Grave.
So he was, I think it was on the set of Exit Wounds. Anyways, he would not show up on set at all. And,
No.
Yeah, and he wasn't in his trailer or anything, so the director and cast and everybody, they thought he was out smoking crack every day.
Probably was.
He probably was. But what happened is that one day they, like, trailed him because they had to figure out what he was doing, so they, like, they followed him, and he was going down to a hobby store a little ways away, and he was buying like gas-powered helicopters and planes, and he would just stay at the hobby store and he would fly them around all day, and that's where he was. So then what they did is they I guess the team, whatever, they bought all of the gas powered like flying things, so they brought it to the set and they made his like a little spot for him with his trailer. And then like he said that DMX got up like at 6:30 every morning and he'd be out playing with the things, and he was on set. So they had him on set because they got him these little gas powered flying machines.
So what you're saying then is, in order to make sure that we have Chad here, we just need to put wrestling figures.
Yeah,
In
exactly.
the podcast.
Wrestling fighters.
And then Chad will just sniff it out. He'll just be like,
Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's.
Oh. But so
Hashtag you're all my kittens now.
So and then he said that DMC went to DMX's house one day, and this is like years later, and he was still playing with those gas-powered planes, and then DMX crashed it into somebody's house in Beverly Hills. And he was doing really good. I can't do it on here, but he was like doing really good like DMX impressions of like how he was talking in the situation, which I can't imitate. But DMC's a really great guy to hang out with. And
should have got him to do a bumper for us, Jesse.
I know he would. He was all about it. And then when he was leaving the store after we did the event and everything, he just turns and he turns around, he waves to us, he goes, "Thank you for liking me, guys," and then he walked out. It was really
That's sweet.
I've definitely heard him on the Ed Lover show on Sirius XM.
Is the Ed Lover show good?
Yeah, I listen to it.
I always liked him and Dre.
It's on Backspin, and he just like gets on there and just talks about stuff and has a bunch of old dudes from hip hop and stuff, and I don't know. I enjoy it. That's pretty much the only station I listen to anymore on there. It's the only reason I keep my subscription going anymore. Because that shit's expensive. Which actually I gotta renew it. So that means I gotta call them and threaten to cancel it. So they'll give me a lower price.
Hey guys, I don't want to leave, but you know.
That's what I do. Because dude, I'm not paying $300 a year for satellite radio.
Fuck no.
Yeah, that's what they want. But if you call and threaten to quit, I usually get a full year plus internet radio for like $100. That I can deal with. Because I'm mostly what I listen to anyways is like podcasts these days. So go ahead.
Podcasts are more interesting.
Pretty much, unless it's ours, and then I just don't understand why people want to hear us talk about DMX and Steven Seagal and wrestling and
Romeo Must Die.
Whatever was going on last week with Chad and
fuck a dog, I'm hungry.
And cereals. What's up with Monster cereals this year being so difficult to find? What
do you mean? They're at Target and Wegmans and all that shit?
Dude, they showed up at Wegmans one day, and then I went back the next day, and they were like all gone.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I just went to Target out in Greece, and they just put them out. I'm guessing that Targets were waiting for like October 1st, because they kind of put them out late. Because that was always the first spot that I would see them. And Wegmans has kind of been putting them out earlier.
I don't know, it feels like they're off their game. Last year they were all out in September. I don't know, man. I don't know. Actually, it feels like a lot of that stuff was coming later, although the Christmas stuff is already out. So
you know what? I have photos from the past few years, and they would always come out the weekend before my birthday. So it's.
I'm not even talking about just that. I mean, I feel like back to school stuff stayed out longer this year. So I don't know. I'm just glad that the Halloween stuff's out, but everybody's gonna be complaining now because Christmas stuff is already out.
I like Christmas stuff, though, so I'm down for both because I can just enjoy both of them.
Well, they can totally coexist together. I don't know why everybody has to get angry about that. It's like, wow, how dare they put something out before I'm ready for it? Generation entitlement.
I don't understand it. It gets annoying after a while. It's just like, you know what, and just don't fucking buy it. How about that? That's crazy, right?
Pretty much, just like movies. You don't like a movie series, and don't go see it. That's what I say, man.
You don't like. I don't know. I think and people have kind of made good arguments, but my argument is if you're going to start praising Halloween being brought into the stores in July, then just accept that Christmas is going to be brought in early too.
Yeah.
And
pumpkin beers.
Did you guys just pick that up? Of my girlfriend just screaming no. Like she's in the kitchen right now, and all of a sudden she just says no.
People always get angry about pumpkin beer showing up in the end of the summer, and I'm just like, dude, that's because that's when they're ready, and they're not gonna ship out pumpkin beers that really nobody's gonna want to buy after October's over. Most people aren't gonna pick them up anymore. Like, they don't want to put these on the shelf and then have 4 weeks to blow through all of them. It just doesn't make any sense. So
you know what I'm kind of pissed about, because you guys know I'm not a beer drinker, but I am pissed because I cannot find these Jones sodas. They're the blood orange. They're like orange soda, but they're a little tangier and a little sweeter.
Yeah.
Can't find these to fucking save my life.
You should go look at some of the craft beer stores. I'm not even kidding.
You have those?
Yeah, the Beers of the World definitely has the Beers of the World in Henrietta out here. You can check that out.
Is that the one we went to last year?
No, I was AJ's. That's the one I usually go to.
I like them.
Shout out to AJ's in Henrietta.
Oh, wait, no.
Actually, probably need to go there tomorrow. But I brewed my own pumpkin beer last weekend, and I stood out on the deck until all sorts of the hours because it took me so long to make this beer. And I was listening to Justin Timberlake on my deck.
Some good music, all right.
At like 11:30 at night.
The 2020 Experience is one of the best pop albums.
Yep, that's what it was.
Is that Suit and Tie?
5-10 years. Yeah.
That's on there, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's...
It was a double album that actually deserved to be a double album. A lot of double albums.
Double albums don't happen anymore. That's what's weird.
But I don't know, I think the beer came out. I mean, I hit the numbers that I was expecting to, but obviously I won't know until... so that's the thing about making beer is you make it and then you have to wait for a significant amount of time before you can actually drink it because you have to let it do its thing. And so, the sample that I had right after I brewed it, which is super sweet because it's got all the sugars in it that haven't been turned into alcohol, was good. I put some bourbon in with it, and it actually tasted like something that I would drink. And I was like, this is good. So, I don't know. We'll find out. But I made it with real pumpkin, so I was up super late the night before roasting. It ended up being 3 pounds of pumpkin that went into it. So I made a little bit over 5 gallons of beer, and it has like 3 pounds of pumpkin in it, plus a bunch of other stuff. And it's currently down here in my basement fermenting. So I'm hoping that it will be all done next week, so that maybe next weekend I can get it out and try to get it into a keg. And then I got to carbonate it, which will probably take a few days. So I'm really pushing it here to try to have this thing ready before the end of the month. But lesson learned is start earlier with these things. So, but I don't know. It's pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. So
hooray!
Made my own pumpkin beer.
I kind of have to make a correction to a previous comment that I made earlier. The terrible video, I just went back and watched it again, it was not Grave Diggers, it was Flatliners, and it was Satanic Verses.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, okay, that doesn't count then.
What do you mean it doesn't count? That's horrorcore.
No, I'm not talking about horrorcore, I'm just talking about Grave Diggers.
Oh,
you just spent all this time talking shit about a band, and then the video you were talking shit about wasn't
it's the
even
wrong
there.
band, the wrong video.
We should watch Flatliners next week.
That's like saying that it's okay to say something about a Japanese person because the Chinese did something.
Wow.
Just because
they're
Asians. You're like, hey, you're in this genre of music, so therefore you must suck.
Well, they all suck. Let's be fair.
It's no Linkin Park, but
Let's talk about.
Falling in my dick.
Let's talk about some executioners.
No.
My girlfriend just gave me the ugliest look I've ever gotten in my entire life, and she's a pretty lady, so that's not very.
I know I am.
Yeah, you are. You're hot, Jesse. Good looking guy.
Thank you.
And we do have a few things here in the Q&A, and Phil Faso, we're not reviewing Curse of Chucky. Go back in the feed and find it.
Hey, wait a minute. Time out. Whoa. Okay, I need to call Phil out on something. Okay. Right fucking now.
Uh-oh.
Right fucking now.
Phil.
Okay? He got on me the other day for some shitty movie I was watching, but he wants us to fucking review fucking Curse of Chucky. Here's the deal. Here's the deal.
Chad, you don't have to worry. I already reviewed that like 2 years ago on the podcast.
So then why the fuck does he want us to do it now?
Because he probably didn't look to see. I don't know. Ask Phil.
Okay.
Don't ask me.
And here's the other thing. I'm not watching The Relic. That movie sucks too.
Tom Sizemore, though.
The Tom Sizemore. He was in Snake Eyes. Nick Cage.
You know what? He's a good actor. He's one of those actors that really should have just not fucked himself up.
Tom Sizemore?
I've always thought Tom Sizemore was pretty talented.
It's a little bit late for that, though.
Yeah, I know. What are you gonna do?
Good times.
Good times.
Anyway, shout out to Phil Faso.
R.I.P. Phil Faso.
R.I.P. Chad just
Death
buried
Ensemble.
you, apparently. I don't know.
I'm not burying him. I am not burying him. I'm just saying, don't.
You took that super personally, Chad. You were just like, yo, he just fucking said something about me, so fuck him because Curse of Chucky.
I am not saying fuck him. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be a blogger, so no.
I'd be crying. I'd be crying right now if you called me out.
No, I didn't call anyone.
Can't call Jesse out.
Yeah.
Jesse's right here. Hi, Jesse.
Hi. I pee myself.
So anyhow, you should go check out Phil's blog over at Death Ensemble, and you should check out. Apparently, he's reviewing a bunch of Rob Dimension stuff. Rob's pretty.
We should have Rob Dimension on sometime.
That rabbit hole though.
Rob's a good guy. He's another supporter of our podcast, so should definitely give him a shout out. We could do a retrospect.
I'm a supporter of the podcast.
Rob Dimension.
I am.
No, Jesse wants us to shout him out. Shout out to Jesse Bartell.
Jesse Bartell!
Because he's obviously the best looking one on this podcast. Which is what matters when you're listening to an audio podcast. And then also our buddy Justin, a.k.a. Homer P., says that he's basically laughing at you and saying that you were cracking up like you ate some college kid that was packed full of pot and slow cooked.
You stuffed pot down their throat and then you cooked them?
I love you, Justin. I still don't know why we're blocked from each other on Facebook. We need to figure that out too.
You guys block each other?
You know what it could have been is a few years ago I probably got into an argument with him over on a VHS group or something. I don't know. More people block me than I'm aware of.
It was probably on some. That's the most Chad thing to say. We were probably on some VHS Facebook group or something. I don't know.
We were on
a wrestling figure. We were on a wrestling doll group.
We got.
And I said that his Hulk Hogan wasn't as good as my junkyard dog.
You leave junkyard dog out of this. R.I.P. Sylvester Ritter.
And Phil, I was just giving you shit about that. I don't really expect you to know every single thing that we've done.
No, we love Phil.
Yeah, there's like 200 podcasts or something like that in that podcast feed. But the Curse of Chucky one is there, and it was, I think, me and Chris Williams from Exercast.
Chris Williams. Oh, from Exercast.
Okay. Yes. W. AKA.
By the way, some news, real quick, unrelated. Michael Gingold is the new editor-in-chief of Fangoria. Much congratulations there. Much deserved.
Wait,
and Blumhouse has a new website, guys.
What?
Everyone was like, oh my god, Blumhouse website. And I'm like, it's just a fucking website, people.
Yeah, I feel like I got an email about that or something, and I was just like, I just updated the banner on my site. Nobody cared.
I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna hate on Blumhouse. We'll talk about Blumhouse a little bit. We do every week because that's pretty much all we do here is review movies that they put out.
Yeah, this is the Blumcast.
We review other people. Hey, Justin just sent me a friend request. That's nice of him.
Is that like a Blumpkin?
No, Blumpkin cast.
Blumpkin is just like it's just Jason Blum sitting on the toilet, counting his money.
Hey, by the way. Is the same crew that is over at Blumhouse the same crew that was at FearNet?
Sure, who cares? At this point, it's like everybody.
I didn't actually look at all the names, but I know it's pretty much like most of Killer POV. It's everybody except Elric. So. It's Rob and
I still
Rebecca's
don't know who
over
that
there.
is. Oh no, I take it back. He's the dude from like Australia,
In New Zealand.
New Zealand.
There goes
Damn it,
Chad
like,
again
don't say-
making generalizations.
Don't say same thing.
I'm not gonna say the same thing. Actually, I've got
They
I've got
both-
a family from
He's
Australia,
like,
so I
they
do.
both funny.
Well, see, this is why I will never be invited on Fangoria ever.
Pretty much.
Hmm.
That's like is that your
Sigh.
ultimate goal in life? Is just to have us get like scarfed up into Fangoria?
You should just ostracize us from the rest of everybody. Just
Nah, I mean the ultimate goal should obviously be Horror Hound, but you know, whatever. I don't know. By the way, can I just say, as much as I do respect the people over at Fangoria, Horror Hound, much better magazine.
oh,
I'm sorry. I definitely think that they're wiping the floor with
ugh.
Fangoria, and that's not an insult to anybody at Fangoria, despite how it sounds. I just think for my money, if you ask me, you know, what magazine would I pick up at the newsstand, it would definitely be Horror Hound without a doubt.
Yeah, you know, I haven't read a whole lot of that. I don't know. There was something at one point that soured them a little bit for me. A certain person who wrote for them, but I'm sure that they either don't write for them anymore or I
I need
shouldn't
some
have.
popcorn. Can you guys excuse me for a moment?
Yes, we will as a respite.
As a respite.
So how are you doing, Chad? How's everything going over in Chad's little world of make believe? Maybe I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
Oh, I'm doing okay.
You had that Whopper. How was the Whopper? You tell everybody about the Burger King Whopper, so we can hear about it.
Okay, so this was kind of secretly announced on Twitter a few months ago, maybe a few weeks ago, and you know someone got a hold of a image, I guess, from the inside, and they put it out online that Burger King was planning a Halloween Whopper, which is just a dyed a black bun, and then just a regular Whopper with, I guess, A1 sauce. So, shit. So, everyone that I know has tried it. They've kind of had the same opinion of, oh, it's just crap, and the bun tastes like kind of a stale bun. And it would
Is
be
that
very...
different than normal Burger King, though?
I'm pretty sure you're right, but but I had it tonight. I'm not a fan of onions and pickles, and it's just it just, I don't know. It
really
tastes
the
like
best
crap.
at reviewing
And
things.
I don't eat Burger King, but you've completely sold me.
okay. Dude, it's crap. It's just, if McDonald's did this, they'd be crucified, and I would actually welcome it because they stopped doing McBoo Pails, motherfucker. But they have little neat crowns this year that's made out of like skeletons on the design, so that's kind of cool. But
Dude, that Burger King mask itself is fucking creepy enough to just be like Murder King.
oh yeah.
Like, there was one dude who showed up at a party one year, at a Halloween party we were at, and he had that fucking mask on, and he just like stood there all night, and he didn't say anything to anyone. Like, he just stood there looking, and people would be like, "Yo, do you talk?" And he would just look at them, and the people were like, "Yo, you're fucking creepy." And he would just sit there and stare at them. And I was like, yo, that motherfucker's gonna... It was like Satan's little helper. Like, for real.
You know what is I'm going back and reading something. I'm reading an article on Dinosaur Dracula, and it's being said that there is A1 baked into the bun.
Yeah, that's what Phil said in the Q&A.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. He says that the kid at the register convinced him not to buy one, and he says the bun actually has the A1 baked into it.
It's not a lot of flavor, and I kind of, for once, I agree with what everyone is saying.
How is this food?
And this just, it's not.
Welcome to
I
Burger
took a
King
few
cast.
bites of the bun, and it's a neat gimmick, you know, like it's a neat looking gimmick. It looks cool, and you know, the rumors of pooping green, I'm probably gonna find out in the morning. But
Chad will let all of you know if you follow him on
Yeah,
Twitter
Twitter.
at HorrorMovieBBQ.
fuck that,
Instagram photos.
dude. It's not called Horror Movie Barbecue for a reason, motherfucker. Hey, you know what? Maybe I should sue him for fucking infringement.
Anal trauma.
I don't know. I think everyone knew that this was going to be all hype and not a lot of substance. So
Personally,
I can
It's
say
like
I
the
tried
Green
it.
Inferno.
Personally, I find it really hard to get excited about Burger King food, especially considering the fact that when you see the pictures of people have been posting about this, it just looks like somebody sat on the fucking hamburger. And I'm like, how does that even feel? Like, for me to be like, you know what, I need to go drive here and ask for this special burger that looks like someone sat on it. Possibly farted on it. Most likely farted on it. It was like when I knew somebody that worked at Taco Bell and they were like, yo, if you put the meat in water, it dissolves.
Oh.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know if it's that way anymore. I mean, they
fuck.
had that thing where they came out and they said it was only like 10% meat. The rest of it was like
I
soy
believe that.
and filler.
Hey, Lori used to work at Taco Bell when she was like a teenager. I'll ask her if that's true. So long story short, I don't think the Halloween Whopper is a big deal. Oh, other thing, I think I said last
he
year
meant
they
to say
did it in
short
Japan.
story long.
Oh, shut up. So last year they did this in Japan, but they had black cheese. So, I mean, and people were all like saying the same thing. They were like, oh my gosh, that cheese looks so gross. If they brought it over to America, everybody would be trying that too. I guarantee it. Not probably going to taste all that hot, and I guarantee it tastes like dog shit. But, yeah.
Pumpkin spice Whopper.
I wouldn't
for basic
recommend
white
this.
bitches.
I would. I am just gonna say, if you want to say, you know, in like 10 years, oh yeah, I remember trying this, give it a shot, but I don't really know a lot of people that are gonna be, like going back and just buying a bunch of these and freezing them, you know, and keeping like an inventory of them. I don't know.
All right, and that was Chad's. That was Chad's random junk food review.
By the way, I totally have to credit someone for calling the After Effects the real Green Inferno, and that's Justin LaLiberty. Because he had called this the real Green Inferno, so I kind of have to compliment him on that.
Oh my lord.
So. The food.
Okay.
Oh, I've also got Cheetos bag of bone.
Okay, no, I'm cutting you off. In fact, I'm cutting you off because we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about movies. Enough about wrestling figures and food that will make your poop turn black. Or green, or whatever it is. I don't know what color yours is this week, Chad.
But fuck. Oh, no.
So, we're going to take a break for a minute, so don't go anywhere. I promise we'll get Chad back on track here, and we will come back and we'll talk about movies that we've been watching. So,
R.I.P. Ryan Dunn.
and here's the great thing.
Oh.
Since Chad made me.
Flatliners! Nigga poop.
Order in the court! Order in the court! I said order in the court now!
Now, before this court passes judgment, will the four defendants please rise and approach the bench?
Trust me, guys, it's all under control. The judge is my uncle. He'll take the exam. Oh yeah, don't forget my retainer pellets.
Okay, I understand you guys are pleading insanity, claiming demonic spirits possess you to do these hideous murders. Can you please explain to this court how these so-called spirits made you into these raping men?
Bear witness as I exercise my exorcism. The evil that lurks within, the sin, the terrorism. Possessed by evil spirits, voices from the dead. I come forth with grave diggers in a head full of dread. I've been examined ever since I was semen. They took the sonogram and seen the image of a demon. At birth, nurses surrounded me with needles and drugged me all up with the diseases of evil. Grew up in hell, now I dwell in an Islamic temple. I'm fighting a holy war in the mental. Look deep in my eyes, you see visions of death. Possessed by homicide is what I am obsessed. Giving niggas brain dimples. Dragging their asses on my hook by their temples. The cause of death is unknown to the cop. Cause when I kill him, I'm not leaving one element, two or dots. First I'll assassinate him, and then I cremate him. Then take all of his fucking ashes and evaporate him. Or creep through the graveyard and hunt down your tombstone. Dig up your skeleton and store all your fucking bones. You try to haunt me, nigga, I ain't trying to hear it. I give your ass the Holy Spirit.
Can you please explain to this court when these problems first began?
The year 84, November, day 10, overwhelmed by the wicked inspirations of an evil gen. I realized my ideas has born for 400 years of blood, sweat, and tears. I saw the torture, brutal murder of my father, so my brain became stained with the horror. I'm having recurring nightmares of being soaking wet, strapped down to the electric chair. I got tackled with handcuffs and shackles and restrained in the bottom of a holy tabernacle. They gave me nothing to eat for 2 weeks, and so my eyelids open so I couldn't sleep. About to die from thirst, that's when the minister quenched my jaws with a cold glass of vinegar. Upon my wounds they seasoned me with salt and knelt my hands and feet to the form of a cross. I cried as the blood dripped inside of my eye, refusing to die. Visions of hell tormented my faith, so I chewed my fucking arm off and made an escape. No one condemning me. I don't believe this shit. Oh no! Oh, get away! Goddamn fuck you, son of a bitch!
Calm down, people. Please calm down. Let us please proceed with the defendant's explanation.
Into the realms of understanding, and take good heed and you could bleed while I'm scanning. 3 stages of pure hell, 60 pages of red cells. Raindrops hit the path, path is dull and narrow. You stalked by shadow, I pierced the skull with a fucking arrow. So narrow, only one could enter at a time. Stuck in the center, read the signs, 1,000 doors to choose. You better hurry, don't stop. Shit is getting hot as a pot of curry. On your right side there's fire, your left deep waters. Watch your step, there's deep waters. What's that coming through the floor? Is a claw. Took this fucking ass to the fucking core. Stroll through the dark conditions. I stone you till I see sparks and frictions. I chop you like a coal miner, then combine the drug and mix it with your blood. Some more, I give you some more and watch you crawl. Guts hit the floor, worms exit your pores. I trick you, then I'm quick to syringe deep between my thoughts and bust out your skin. You scream, fortress of inflictable pain. You can't stand, you're up to your hands in quicksand. You're sinking and sinking deep into the earth. Thoughts was possessed since the first day of birth. My mental says it's my turn to possess the matter. Stab you with a dagger up Jacob's ladder. Thoughts become shattered, confused and tragic. Fiery thoughts of grave diggers.
Hi, this is Davaya. I am from the Exorcast. Every week, we talk all about pornography, beards, and horror movies. I used to have a co-host named Vincent, but he is off somewhere playing with dildos and dressing up like Judge Dredd. So, now I have a guy named Chuck, and another guy named Newsfinder General, and we have more fun without Vincent, because he is a sack of shit. We love the dead air guys, but James is a little rapey, Jeff is too drunk, Jesse thinks he is Nick Cage, and Sean, well, I don't know where Sean is, probably at a gas station giving hand jobs. So, when you are done listening to these assholes, you should go to exorcast.com and listen to us, assholes. I am sorry that I sound like a robot, But I have not given Jeff a new bumper in a long time. So he had to make this one. Go fuck yourself. Exorcast.com. Fetch. The power of pornography compels you. Thank you.
That Cheeto Chad, though. So that was a bumper for our friends over at Exorcast. You should check them out. Exorcast.com. That's W. And the one and only Chuck Connors, a.k.a. Chuck Connery, and they talk about all sorts of stuff. So check them out. Give their podcast a listen. We love those guys. Good dudes. So anyway...
It's Jesse, not me.
I'm gonna mute you, Chad. Stop eating
Hold
Cheetos.
on, I'm muting myself.
All super loud.
They're Lunchable nachos.
Oh, that makes all the
Welcome to the
difference.
Foodcast.
All right, hold on. I'm turning off my mic for a little while. Hold on.
Junk food cast. All right, well, I guess we're gonna have to. Chad just can't stay away from those junk foods.
He's got to have something in his mouth.
Yeah. If it's not a dick,
I'm gonna
it's
put
a
something in your
Cheeto.
mouth, motherfucker.
All right.
So let's talk about some movies that we have seen over the last week. So, Jesse,
Yeah.
you have some movies.
So I haven't seen any movies but one movie.
Oh, okay, makes it easy, I guess.
Yeah. Because I've just been doing a bunch of other things. I saw last night. I went and I saw The Martian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's a good movie, guys.
I was gonna go see it.
That's a pretty good movie.
But I'm old and I fell asleep at 8 o'clock last night.
That's okay.
I was actually gonna go see Sicario first.
Yeah, I gotta see that too.
Because I really want to see that, but The Martian just seemed like it's like almost fucking 2 hours and 40 minutes or something.
It's a long movie. It felt. I mean, you start to feel it towards the end a little bit, but it's still really good.
Is it an Interstellar spin-off?
Yeah, it's
Matt Damon on a planet by himself.
It's Interstellar fan fiction. So basically, I mean, the novel was super popular, so a lot of people have probably read the novel. But the book is that, I mean, the story is that somewhere in the near future, there is a team on Mars. They're collecting soil samples and blah blah blah, and the storm is coming on Mars, and a windstorm, and they need to get off immediately. And as they're making their way towards their ship to get off, Mark Watney, played by Matt Damon, is hit with some debris, and he's flown backwards, and his vitals go offline, so they think he's dead, and they look for him for a little bit. But they're like, "We gotta go. We're gonna be stuck here." So they go. He wakes up. He's on Mars, and he has to figure out how to survive because he only has enough food for basically well, it's not days because on Mars days are not the same thing. Like we have, they measure them. They call them sols, like SOL. So he has enough for probably like a month and a half worth of food, but the next ship that's going to be on Mars is like in 4 years, so he has to figure out how to survive for that long. What becomes is just like him, like the survival story, and him just like piecing shit together and science shit, and it is awesome because it's a hard science fiction film, which a lot of science fiction films of late have become very comfy, and they don't actually have any real science to them. And with this, they actually go through some, like if you read the book is really kind of, it's not the easiest to read if you don't have the mind for it, because it is very heavily based on scientific, like, could-be's and measurements, and it's just very heady and nerdy, especially if you're a chemist, even though the main character is a botanist, but he does a lot of chemistry. And the guy who wrote the novel actually worked for NASA, so that explains a lot of it. But it is, in the movie, they're able to take away sort of the heavier sciencey stuff and then kind of, pad it out as a movie. And the book takes place pretty much, on Mars with him writing, like he writes the log entries. And in the movie, of course, he does like video. He talks to the screen, and then there's this whole like NASA stuff of people trying to get him, back. And there's a lot of like there's like the moral dilemma of like, should we risk all these people to save this one guy? And should we tell the public? Should we tell the team that he's still alive? And there's all these like philosophical like business stuff going on. With NASA, and but it is super engaging. It's very emotional. Mark Watney's character is hilarious. He's got a sardonic wit about him, so he's very sarcastic through the whole film. It works very well, and I totally recommend it. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. Ridley Scott really does have a knack for making space look like fucking edible. And he does that again with this film. So like think Prometheus, but not as dark and grainy. This is more like reds and sunshine and very bright. But it looks absolutely beautiful. But I highly recommend it. I knew I was gonna like this movie. I liked the book. I knew I was gonna like the movie. But I ended up liking the movie more than I thought I would. Maybe even more than the book. I think it works as a movie really well. And I highly recommend it. Even if you're just kind of like, Matt Damon, whatever, science space movie and whatever. I think there's a lot there. It's really engaging and exciting, and the cast is phenomenal, and the soundtrack's good, and it's just a bunch of great stuff going on. Totally recommend it.
All right, yeah, I'm planning on going to check it out. I got to get out to the theater a couple times. I got to see a few things, and that's on my list there. So, is Chad back with us yet, or is he still eating Lunchables?
Those Danimals.
Hey, man, I've never had a Danimal. Those things look nasty.
Oh, Chad, did you watch anything besides wrestling this week?
Actually I did. I got a screener from Olive Films. And I ended up getting Mannequin 2.
On the Move.
Which,
You forgot the subtitle.
Oh, On the Move.
On the Move.
On the Move.
It's like just mannequins walking around.
Yeah, why not? Well, that's what they do, son. So, I had never seen this movie before, and I am not the biggest fan of the first one. So, I was really just expecting a bad movie that I could just like maybe get rid of.
You were the best candidate to get a screener
dude, for a minute there, I thought you were saying a bad movie that you could jack off to.
Christy Swanson, dude, come on, totally.
Mannequin on the Move.
I sense a positive review coming.
There is a positive review.
Oh my god.
Here we go.
No, wait a minute. Okay, there's two things I need to point out. A, I am not a huge fan of the first one. And
the Christy Swanson, though.
I don't like Kim Cattrall. That's the thing.
That was back when she was actually hot, though.
She wasn't bad, I guess.
Trouble in Little China.
Okay, yeah, she looks really hotter in there.
Oh boy.
What was I gonna say? Fuck. Oh, yeah, no, it's not bad. It's very over the top, stupid and goofy, but I like it better than the first one.
Wait, so what's the premise of this movie?
Christy Swanson is back in like the medieval times, or her character is, and she like pisses off some sorcerer and a witch and all, and so the sorcerer and the witch like turn her into a statue for 1 billion years or something, and then
he's not even making stuff.
I'm not. So then she wakes up in the year 1991 with William Ragsdale, and it's because of a necklace or something that she's a statue, and then Terry Kaiser is a fucking sorcerer from the year 2 or something. I don't know. I guess that's the medieval times is 2. And, then wackiness ensues, and Hollywood Montrose, and, that's the entire story. It's a stupid story, but here's where it really gets interesting, and it starts to unravel. is the same guy that directed this also directed Mac and Me.
Oh no.
Wow. It's full circle.
No more fucking Mac and Me is banned from this podcast.
No. I'm just pointing out that I'm kind of seeing why they sent this movie to me. Because I had like applied for like 5 movies, and this is the one they sent me.
No, like they just were looking over everything he had, and they're like, "This guy has fucking talked about Mac and Me every fucking post that he's written." The last movie of ours he reviewed, he started talking about Mac and Me, and that was
this
with Linda
movie, he's
Blair
gonna start
and roller
talking about
skates. Rollerblading.
I'm totally seeing a trend. If they don't send me Killer Workout, I'm gonna be very sad. I'm gonna be very, very sad.
Oh my
Sad.
God.
Because Killer Workout, Death Spa, gotta have them.
So you would recommend Hollywood? You would recommend Mannequin 2 to people listening?
Well, considering that the people that listen to the show actually have taste, I'd recommend it to you only if you can put up with really stupid, terrible humor. That's it. Other
so
than that,
basically
I
saying
don't really
if you like the Green Inferno, then you'll like Mannequin 2.
I tell you what, what's a good... If you like the movie Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, you'll like this.
Oh, Jesus.
And I don't even know why, but I just imagine someone like... Actually, I think I'm the only one that really likes both of these movies at the same time.
I'm sure there's others.
I'm sure. But it's good.
Gosh, you like Teen Wolf 2 with 2 O's, right?
Yes, if you like Teen Wolf 2 and I don't like Teen Wolf 2, no. I'm offended that you would...
Bateman, though.
True story, a friend of mine got into a year-long argument with me over whether or not Scott Bakula was in that movie or not. And for a year, because we were co-workers, and for a year, every single day, we'd always say, we'd actually talk about this every fucking day. Every fucking day, and he was convinced that Scott Bakula was on this. Then I pulled up the IMDb page, and he's like, no, anyone can post anything there. And I'm like, motherfucker, don't you think Scott Bakula would actually go on here and they'd be like, hey, motherfucker, I'm in this movie? No.
Wait, what was Scott Bakula in?
Teen Wolf 2.
Oh.
No, it was
We got
Justin
into a
Bateman.
fucking argument over this. I know, that's what I always said. He was like, no, he was the boxer. And I'm like, no, that's Justin Bateman. He's like, no, man. No, that's Scott Bakula. He just kind of looks like Justin Bateman. I'm like, no, he doesn't. They don't look anything alike. They just have similar hair.
Actually,
I do like
meant
the
Jason
theme song
Bateman.
to Zap again, by the way.
Just
What did I
call
say?
him we both called him Justin Bateman. I really don't know why I did.
Justin Bateman.
I'm thinking of Justine Bateman.
Justin
That is-
Bateman. Yeah. Gosh, did I just say Justin Bateman over and over?
Yes. You said, well, I said it first, and then you just kept saying it.
Oh, see, well, I was on such a roll. That's my fault.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah,
He was the main character in Teen Wolf 2.
Yeah, I know.
no, not
Jason
Scott
Bateman.
Bakula.
What?
No,
Jason-
okay. Jesse just zoned out of that whole thing.
Okay, so
That's okay.
I'm gonna.
No, we don't need to discuss Teen Wolf 2 any further.
No. I'm just no. I will say I like the theme to Zapped again.
He's a fucking boxer, and he's a Teen Wolf.
Right.
That's all you need to know, and it's terrible.
No, I know
Really
that,
terrible.
but I was wondering why they thought Scott Bakula was in that movie.
Because he thought. My friend actually thought that he was in this movie because he kind of looks. He thought that he was Jason Bateman.
Okay.
And this went on for a year until he left the job that I was working with him at.
Dude, Scott Bakula's like 15 years older than Jason Bateman.
That's what I never
I'm gonna
understood.
be like an old ass man, like in a. Yeah, that'd be weird.
He was quantum leaping at that time. He didn't have time.
Quantum Leap was not. No, this was before Quantum Leap, actually.
Was it?
Yeah, this was 87. Looking right at it right now.
Huh.
I'll never understand it.
Anyway, is there anything else you watched?
I watched The New Kids with James Spader and Lori Loughlin and that Tom Atkins, though. And it's one of my favorite movies From
Did Atkins have a badass mustache?
that's like asking did the sun rise? Of course he does, motherfucker.
I don't think he has a mustache in The Fog, if I'm remembering correctly.
You know what? I've never seen that one.
Really?
Oh, is that the John
Really?
Carpenter one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, okay.
It's wonderful, and that theme song is amazing.
No, you're right. I'm looking at a picture of him right now. He does not have a mustache.
But he sleeps with Jamie Lee Curtis like 5 minutes after meeting her.
He sleeps with every chick.
No, but it's like immediately, like he picks her up hitchhiking, and then he's like, and then he just ends up in a hotel. Next thing you know, they're like smoking cigarettes and putting their clothes on.
By the way, he also didn't have one in Creepshow.
And he just came in and yelled at that kid and took away his fucking magazine.
It's a comic book, idiot.
Oh.
It's a graphic novel.
It's a graphic novel. Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, I guess I knew something that you did.
Alright, you need to calm down there.
I am calm. I'm just still angry about Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Teen Wolf.
But Jesse, they spelled two with two
I know,
O's
I know,
because
it's
he's
pretty
his
good.
cousin.
True story. Wait a minute. Piece of trivia. I'm kidding. I'm not even joking. Apparently, Teen Witch was going to be Teen Wolf 3.
Oh my
And
god.
then eventually they were like, we
Great.
need to start
Like,
movies.
wait a minute, a witch is not a werewolf. It would make no
I know.
sense.
So
Teen
that's why
Wolf
she's
3,
Teen Witch.
Teen Witch.
That'd be like pulling like a Troll 2 or something, where like they're not even trolls.
I just... Teen Witch. Top that,
What am I
motherfucker.
talking about?
He was talking about the new kid.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So, have you guys ever seen that movie?
Nope.
Nope.
So, Lori Loughlin
Sorry.
is hot. I'm kind of surprised you've never seen it, Jeff.
Did you just say Lloyd Kaufman is hot?
I said I'm surprised you've never seen it, Jeff.
Well, I
Lloyd
heard that
Kaufman.
part, but for like I swear it sounded like you said Lloyd Kaufman is hot.
Can we have someone like go back and actually record me saying that, just so
Yeah.
I?
Chad, we are recording this as we're talking.
Okay,
so-
I'm talking about sending us in an audio right now. Oh, I need some sleep. Anyway, New Kid is about Lori Loughlin and her brother, who I think is Shannon Presby. I think that's his last name. They play army brats, and their dad is Tom Atkins. And shut up. And their parents die, so they have to go live with like their goofy like amusement park owning aunts or cousins or whatever. And it's in like oh, obviously. And so they're the new kids in town, and you know they go to a school, and James Spader is like a lead bully in a gang or something, and he thinks Lori Loughlin is hot, and he thinks that the other dude is kind of a dumbass, which he is. And, you know, he just kind of fucks with him, and it turns into more him just like... It turns into a stalking movie more than anything, but James Spader is so over-the-top creepy in this, and I think it's actually my favorite role that he's ever done. So, you know, I'm not going to give everything away, but it's a really, really good movie. There's a lot of... It was done by... what's his name? Sean S. Cunningham. And
Oh, okay.
it's really good. If you haven't
I've
seen it...
actually heard of that. I just didn't know what it actually was.
I can't... You know, I always tell people to check this movie out. Just because it's so good. The DVD's impossible to come by, or at least a single one. I know that they just re-released it with like 2 other James Spader movies, and
James Spader 3-way.
but I think that's what it's called. No, I'm kidding. But this was like early in his career. I even want to say that this may have been before. Was it 16 Candles? Or was it Pretty Which one was he in?
I don't really remember.
I don't really think it matters because I think those movies are kind of boring anyway.
How dare you speak ill of the dead?
R.I.P. Anthony Michael Hall. Wait a minute. Okay, so I do have.
Rick Astley.
Oh no, he would never.
Never
give
gonna
up.
give you up.
Never gonna be alive.
Okay, you know what you know what you guys really need to see is there's a video from Monday Night Raw. No, you'll like this. Is they were doing like a contest on air.
Lost me.
No, shut up. Listen, where Vince McMahon would like give $1 million away over the course of a summer, and you had to kind of email your phone number in. Apparently, they didn't check beforehand because the first name that they called during the night, they actually have they had the ringback tone of Rick Astley, and Vince McMahon is just like staring at a telephone, and he looks so confused, and it's just so perfect.
He got rickrolled.
He did on TV, and he's got like glasses, and he's looking around, and he's like, what's going on? He looks like an old person that just.
He looks like an old person anyway.
Yeah, but he's still in better shape than I am.
He's no spring chicken.
No, he's not. He's not.
Anyway, so the New Kid, you would recommend it to people?
I would definitely recommend New Kids. It's better than the first Friday 13th.
Okay.
There he goes.
Always got to end it with something that he knows is just going to get people angry.
Hey, it gets people listening.
Is that it? I'm afraid to ask.
Okay, no, in all seriousness, those are the only 2 movies I've really had time to listen to, but
the only 2 you had time to listen to.
I would recommend New Kids over Mannequin 2.
Okay. Well, that seems like a solid plan of action there. I didn't watch as much as I usually do, just because I was in the middle of binge watching Narcos on Netflix, which is fucking amazing. And if you haven't watched Narcos on Netflix, you really need to watch it. And it's like 10 one-hour episodes. It's basically the series, and I was kind of wondering how they were going to do this, because the series is all about Escobar and like how he became like drug kingpin, and obviously like leading up to what's going to be his eventual fall. But I was like, how are they're going so fast with the story? How are they going to do this whole thing, like, and then make it a TV show? Because I thought that the end of it would be the end of his thing, and I guess they have a season 2 that's coming out, so I was not sure how that was going to work, but now I know. But at any rate, it is completely addicting to watch, and it's great, and it's got the dude from the last season or 2 of Game of Thrones who played the dude who got his eyeballs gouged out.
Oh, you mean okay, yeah.
Yeah, and
the Viper, whatever his name is.
Yes, and he is in it as the partner of this white mustachioed DEA guy, and they're both DEA dudes who are basically in Colombia and go through all of this stuff to try to catch the drug dealers and kingpins and stuff like that. But the thing is that they're not really the main characters. The main character is basically Escobar, and it's kind of looking at the drug trade and how all that stuff happens, and it's kind of crazy because it's all actually true, and they use a lot of real footage dispersed throughout, and they have kind of a voiceover, so you feel like you're watching kind of like Goodfellas. You know how that has the voiceover to explain things? Mm-hmm. They kind of do it in that style, but since you're watching this thing, you feel like you're learning like history and whatnot, but then it's just crazy because it's like, I can't believe that they fucking got away with doing this shit. Because that dude, like, I always knew he was obviously like some crazy drug kingpin, but I didn't realize like how blatantly he was, or how blatant he was about all this drug trafficking stuff, and to the point where he was like landing in Forbes magazine as like one of the richest dudes in the world for drug trafficking.
Yeah, and he would like stick like cocaine in tires and stuff.
Oh yeah, they did all sorts of ridiculous shit, and it's a really good show, and I can't even do it justice to try to explain it. Like I said, the main like white dude with the mustache is not really all that interesting, but the guy who plays his partner, who's the guy from Game of Thrones, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's fucking great. Everybody in there is pretty great, actually. It's just that the main guy, his character isn't really all that interesting, but he's kind of just serves to be the narrator. because I think he, at the end of the day, I think he might have been the guy who wrote the book. Is it Killing Pablo? Is that the one? I think so.
Yeah, because that was actually a book too.
Yeah, and I think it might have been him that wrote it, but I don't know 100%. But either way,
Mark Bowden.
yes, I think that is. But
Yeah.
you should definitely check that series out if you have not seen it yet. It's on Netflix, and I binge watched that whole thing in like 4 days.
I've been trying.
So-
I've been wanting to get on it because I do like the whole,
Oh, it's
drug
dude, it's
cartel stuff.
it's addicting and it's crazy. And I watched like all those cocaine documentaries last week, and then
Maybe
I
like
was like,
Cocaine Cowboys.
yeah. And then I was just like, shit, I gotta watch this. And I started watching it, and I just powered through it, and I was like, damn, this is good stuff. So Netflix is kind of just killing it with their original shows, man. Totally worth the $7 a month just to watch the shows that they're putting out.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw that. I also watched on VOD a movie called Hellions that came out, which is like this teenage girl who is kind of getting terrorized by these kids in trick-or-treater costumes, and it fucking sucks.
I heard the ending's really bad.
The ending like almost makes zero sense. Like, what's going on by the end of the movie? So the whole movie is basically like, yo, we're gonna make a bunch of stuff that looks pretty cool, but it's gonna be dumb as fuck. So there's a lot of really cool like Halloween imagery and stuff like that in it, but aside from that, it's just like it almost just feels like it was trying to capture some of the visual flair of something like Trick or Treat and turn it into a movie that obviously is way more self-serious than it should be. And I mean, this is like a movie that's only like 80 minutes long, and I swear that I was falling asleep during it. And I've sat through some really bad movies without problem. And this movie was just killing me. Like felt like I was nodding off while I was watching it, and then I had to actually rewind it to rewatch the end of it. And then I was like, Jesus Christ, this is not good. So I don't really recommend that anybody watch that movie. I mean, I've heard a few people that seem to think it's pretty cool, and then I've heard a few other people defending. It's the usual thing where people complain about it, and then you get this sect of people that are then defending the movie and saying that everybody's just attacking it for whatever reason, which is a little bit relevant to what we're going to talk about later. But you get that, and it's like, dude, you don't have to just defend something just because other people don't like it. Like, it's possible for someone to just not like a movie, and I really don't like Hellions. I mean, the sad part about it is like there's some parts that are fairly creepy in the movie, and they could have actually done something with it that would have worked. But you have like Robert Patrick as like this cop who shows up, and once you find out like how he's related to the whole story, you just like want to roll your fucking eyes and just be like, all right, I want to turn this fucking movie off now.
Does he they shoot him or something and then he just absorbs the bullets?
No, but he's the guy that, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything in case anybody actually wants to watch it, but essentially he's the dude who exists for the exposition dump because the same thing that's happening to this girl, he knows everything that happened and why it's going to happen. And he just fucking like seriously lays it all out. He's the fucking Deus Ex Machina of the movie. He just lays all that shit out, and then you're just like, Jesus, like this is even, and it's the worst part about it is once they explain it, it's even fucking dumber than you would think it would be. And it all revolves around a blood moon, and I'll put it at that, which is kind of ironic because like I watched it.
We just had a blood moon.
And then the next fucking day we had a blood moon. And I was like, this movie's supposed to make you afraid of blood moons or something, and then I was just like, I don't even fucking give a shit. There's a blood moon. Fuck Hellions. All it did was make me angry that there was a blood moon, because it was reminding me of this movie that I spent $10 on and watched.
So pissed.
It's not good.
Sounds like here's the deal. Why are people? Because I don't really know anything about it. Why are people defending this right now? Like, are they just? Is
only
it one
ones
of those
I've heard
movies?
have just been, it's the constant argument of like, you don't get it, or you just don't like it, or you're being a hipster.
Okay, can I say something real quick about that?
Go ahead.
That people say that shit to me all the time because apparently I don't agree with other people when I say I don't like something, and that kind of pisses people off.
Wait, they call you a
Why?
hipster?
Well, I've been called a hipster, and it's
Dude, you were like the farthest thing from being an actual hipster.
Well, it's led to unfriendings before, believe it or not. But like, usually it stems from from people saying, I forgot what my point was, but I mean, is there a certain like director that's doing this movie, or is there something about this movie that just everyone loves, or is it just?
No, in fact, I've heard mostly bad things about it. So I have a feeling that a lot of the people who are coming out and like praising it are just, they're in the minority and they just want to go against what everybody else is saying.
Okay.
That's the feeling I get.
Okay.
But regardless, again, it's one of those things that, in my opinion, is style over substance completely, and that just doesn't work, especially not for a movie like this.
Right.
I mean, you got to see it for yourself to make up your mind, and I'm sure that there's people out there that think it's good. And I, like I said, I can find a few things about it to say that are good, but overwhelmingly, it's just not my thing. I have no desire to ever watch this movie again.
So you wouldn't recommend it?
I would not recommend it.
Hey.
But people could see it and then think differently. So.
That's the beauty of movies.
Yep, pretty much. So I saw that.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, never mind. Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say I also rewatched Repo, the Genetic Opera, and it wasn't as bad as I remember it being, but it still wasn't really good. So that's a thing that exists that's out there. It was on Netflix. I think they took it down, but you can still watch it on Amazon Instant if that's your thing. But my problem with that is the fact that and it's not that I don't like musicals, because I love like Little Shop of Horrors, and there's at least one other one I'm sure that I've seen that I like. And I get that this is supposed to be an opera, so the whole thing is supposed to be sung as opposed to just having like certain numbers where they're singing. But the Repo is just like so awkward with the way that people are singing, and it just doesn't sound like, you watch Little Shop of Horrors, and when people are singing and stuff, it's like, it's good, it makes sense, they're singing it, and it kind of fits when they're like doing their scene. Like Repo just feels like they took a bunch of people who don't know how to sing and just told them to yell words. And it's just not really all that good. So I don't know. It's not as bad as I remember it being, but that's not saying that I like it. So I don't know. If you haven't seen it, then I would say don't watch it. I like a lot of the other stuff that Darren Bousman's done. Not that one though.
I actually saw that when it first came out, and I did enjoy it. And honestly, watching it, I was like, the Gravedigger song I thought was probably the best song they had.
I don't remember Oh, okay, yeah. There's that one. Is that the no? The one that the only song in that whole movie that I actually like is the one where I think Paris Hilton shows up in that alley and she's like begging people to do surgery on her. And there's that weird guy who's walking around who looks like he just like crawled out of like fucking Lord of the Rings or something, and he's just singing about surgery.
That's the one I'm talking about, yeah.
Is that the song?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that was the same one.
I think, and I even remember going to a convention at this point after this was released, and I think the reaction was, oh yeah, that movie was okay, that song was good, and then I tend to remember hearing people say Paris Hilton was not that bad in that.
No, she's not.
Which I didn't think she was that bad. She's really not.
She's not. I make fun of her just as much as everybody else, but she's not really all that bad in House of Wax either. You get to watch her get killed, and House of Wax is actually a solid movie in my opinion. So
I've been told that was a really solid remake.
yeah, well, I liked it.
Is it the one with Tom Wellington?
I don't know that name, but it's the weird ass one with the two twins, and yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, so Repo, I don't know, it's not really my thing, but I also watched Val Kilmer in The Thaw, and that movie is pretty much garbage. They're just trying to be like The Thing, except trying to turn it into
The Thaw.
some weird like
What movie is it?
terrorism thing. It's called The Thaw, and it's basically like Val Kilmer is like out on some research base up in the, I don't know if it's the Arctic or whatever, where it's supposed to be cold, and they fucking uncover a woolly mammoth, and the woolly mammoth has like these fucking parasites on it, and since the snow is melting, apparently the parasites didn't actually get killed, and so they come out and they start fucking burrowing into people's skin and laying eggs. And it's really just not
That sounds terrible.
that good at all. It's not terrible, but it's not good. Hellions is worse, in my opinion. So, and also a couple nights ago, I watched that movie The Walk that just came out. I watched it in IMAX 3D, which is fucking...
the Zemeckis new movie?
Yep. Directed by... I think it's only in IMAX at the moment. I believe that was what they were doing. But it's like Robert Zemeckis, it's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it, and a bunch of other people. And it's basically... I don't know if you ever heard of that documentary Man on Wire.
Yeah.
So it's that dude who was like, "Yo, I'm gonna set up like a fucking high wire and
on the Twin
walk
Towers and
between the World Trade Center." And the movie is about him pulling that together and like why he did it. And it's got grumpy ass Ben Kingsley in it as like a Czech circus performer.
Oh my god.
And it's actually a pretty solid movie, and it's one where I would highly say that like if you're gonna watch this movie, don't fucking wait for it to show up on like Netflix or on video. Like, go watch it in 3D on a big ass screen, because I'm gonna tell you right now, when they have like what I would call the money shots, which is when he's like up on top of the fucking building, like looking down, and they show you like point of view, and you're watching that in 3D on an IMAX theater screen, it's pretty intense. Like, I don't like heights, and it was giving me anxiety while it was going on, because he's like, and I mean, you know, like if you know the story, you know how it's gonna end pretty much, but at the same time, like, it's pretty cool, and I'm pretty sure that this is just something Zemeckis did because he just likes to fuck around and figure out what he can do, like, technically. So the movie seems like it's more of a showcase for what he is trying to do with the 3D technology and stuff. But it's really solid.
And he's probably tired of hearing when are we going to get Back to the Future Part 4.
Maybe.
I just saw the trailer for it and I was like really like underwhelmed.
Or the like trailer is stupid, but the movie is actually much better, and it's a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be. Let me put it that way. And JGL's accent is really obnoxious when you're watching the trailer, but for some reason when you watch the movie it works. So, because he's doing a French accent, he's supposed to be French, and it almost sounds like he's making fun of it. And I agree with you, Jesse. I was rolling my eyes at the trailers, but I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go see it because I usually go see just about everything. So I went to see it, and you know, I liked it. I enjoyed it, and it's like 2 hours long. Didn't feel like that. Felt a lot shorter than Hellions did. It's a pretty fun movie, and it's got kind of like that movie magic thing going on in it that Zemeckis is capable of doing without being creepy like Polar Express. Where you watch it and you're like, this is scary shit that's not supposed to be scary. So
this movie's dumb.
My kid loves Polar Express, but I watch it and I'm just like, it's just so creepy watching like Tom Hanks. That is Tom Hanks, but it's not, because it's like a computer generated image of Tom Hanks. So creepy. So I don't know. That's all I got for that there. So I don't know. You guys got anything else that you want to talk about
actually
before
wanted. I do.
Go ahead.
I do. Yeah. Maybe it was like last week. I tried to watch that WNUF Halloween special.
What is that?
It's this independent movie that is set in the 80s, and it's made to kind of look like it's one of those public, what is it? Not public affair, public access shows. That's like, yeah, pretty much. And it's supposed to be like a local Halloween special where like a talk show host goes in a haunted house and stuff.
Mhm.
And it's really creative because the way they do it and the way they filmed it, it actually, if you watch it, it makes you think that, oh, maybe this was done in the 80s. And apparently the way they did they have like a bunch of like local spots and commercials and stuff like that. So I wasn't really impressed by this movie at first. So I went back and watched it, and I was a lot more. I was impressed more the second time around. And I know that it's been out for like maybe 2 years, but it's really creative. Apparently, the way they did this was they filmed it, and then to make it look like very old and worn out, they like would take a VHS and then they would like copy it, and then they would copy that copy, and then they would copy that copy, and just over and over. And it's really clever. And the area that they filmed it in, I actually grew up in, or I grew up watching the channel that they based it off, and so there's a lot of like homages to like Baltimore and stuff like that. And I wasn't bothered by those, but I'm not the other thing is I'm not a fan of like throwback style movies. So if it's like that's kind of part of the reason I just have zero interest in like Turbo Kid and Kung Fury and all that stuff. Like I don't want to watch a movie that's a throwback. But the way that this movie was done was so creative that I mean, on second viewing, I kind of got into it a lot more. After I kind of put that whole after I kind of put aside my hate for throwback movies. So, I'm sure I skipped around a lot describing it, but if no one's ever seen it, it's really interesting. Like they do a lot of tricks to make it seem a lot older than it is, and I'll definitely, I definitely suggest picking it up just because it's fun, it's entertaining, it's really nothing to be taken seriously, and I was wrong the first time I saw this, so definitely recommend it.
It's on my list. I haven't watched it yet, but I know James Harris, Dr. Terror himself, is a fairly big fan of it. So,
at first, I don't like the whole throwback feel. I think that kind of needs to end, only because if I want to watch like an old movie from the 80s, I'm gonna watch a movie from the 80s. I'm gonna watch like a teen comedy from the 80s. I'm not really gonna want to watch a fucking movie that was done now that is made to look like it was from the 80s. I just don't like that. I think that it's kind of a waste of technology and just not worth it. I think that we kind of, if something organically happens, okay, that's fine, but that's just my take, I don't know.
All right. Let's probably an appropriate time then to take a break and then come back and talk about Green Inferno and wrap things up. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a break for a few minutes, and then we will be back, and we'll talk to you then.
Suicide, I can't take it. I failed at being one who disqualifies himself from mankind. Now I've dealt the deadly blow of suicide, cause I felt that would carry the knowledge, the mission to teach the uncivilized. It was a pitch black night, the force from the trees cradled light. From the moon as my soul took flight. Upon my bypass, cover my eyes fast, the comfort going through turns, blown through a trumpet, floating on clouds of hands, a standing commands that bless my stand but took me back as man. Brothers that I met, putting nets suspended with my strength for them is dependent. Attempts, taste the sour grapes, the hate, the fame, slice his own vein, escape. The perfect, I see things different as I cry to end it all and just die. Yo, it's suicide, it's a suicide. It's suicide, it's a suicide. It's suicide, it's a suicide. It's suicide, it's a suicide.
Bourgeois kids, stop yelling. Come delivering while you're rebelling. Your friend Marty got a new Maserati. His brother Artie got a brand new Ferrari. It really offends you to see all of your friends do better. So you ask your pops for a Benz. You got a sweater, a pair of slacks, and a 94 Jetta. Shit was butter, but instead of gratitude, your attitude was rash and rude. Irrationally, you started a feud. Now you stand on the grave of your life, singing the blues about the rough life you got. You refuse to abide by the rules prescribed for life as you grab a knife. You fool, commit suicide. I will spit on your grave. It's barbaric as living in a cave.
Yo, your life, you don't want it. Your brain cells been blunted. But unless your lab shutting down 1-800 suicide. So you and I, the unify, you and I, TY. 22nd generation is time for the devil's elimination. The death that you're facing comes on without discrimination. Become attracted to my magnetic. All snakes who fake takes get strung, mutilated, beheaded, fingers shredded. Then thrown to a sea of premium unleaded. Gas, get the match striking and set it on your ass. Said you wanted to go over the rainbow. Well, you'll get strangled with a hot cup of Drano. Or fill your grill with a million sleeping pills. Make you drive 100-mile-per-hour blindfolded down Snake Hill. And take the sickle with a shovel, it got you puzzled. It's a blind different dumb rock up to dig 'em out the rubble. Double, triple sickness plus genocide applied equals suicide. A suicide is a suicide. Suicide is a suicide. Suicide is a suicide. Suicide is a suicide. Suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Grave diggers, kid. Trying to stay alive in 95. Respect.
Beautiful dreamer.
Peru is dangerous. We can't just go invade a country because they're doing something that we think is immoral.
I know. I just think I should be doing something about the rainforest.
Starlight dewdrops.
It's time to make a difference.
Sounds of you.
fire.
Why are they doing this? What are they going to do to us? We have to get out of here.
You know what this is? You know what they're doing to us?
All right, and that was the trailer for the Green Inferno, which, if you're listening to it, it's like, what the fuck is going on? Because it's just a bunch of people yelling, and that's kind of what was on there. And I think there's kind of a problem with the way that this movie was marketed, which probably is what led to the fact that it only made, what, like $3 million, I think, last week, which...
It didn't make much.
Well, and that's not necessarily a terrible thing. I hear people being like, "Oh, it's a fucking flop." But again, I mean, I think this movie was made for $5 million or less. I don't know the exact budget, but there's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about with that, because this is a movie that we've been hearing about as horror fans for a while, couple years, and it's taken a while to get to us. And I think there's a lot of misinformation that's out there about why the movie didn't come out, and a lot of people have been speculating that it's because it was either too extreme for the movie theaters, or that somebody dropped it, or that something happened with that, and I don't think it really had anything to do with any of those particular things.
No.
But we can get into that. But I mean, the basic point is, this is Eli Roth's new movie. Well, not new, but this is what, his fourth film that he did.
Mm-hmm.
It was made back in, I think, 2013. Was supposed to be released last September, so 2014 was supposed to be released. Did not come out. Came out last Friday, and apparently didn't make very much money, which I guess is evident by, I mean, when I went to see the movie, it was Thursday night, there was one other guy in the movie theater with me.
Oh,
that was it. It was me and one dude who was there, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a little bit weird, because he was all the way up in the back, and I'm like, dude just went all the way to the back of the theater to sit by himself. Like, I don't know. So I guess maybe he was planning on touching himself or something, which is fine, because I don't have to watch it, but either way.
Those hot natives, man.
So, directed by Eli Roth, written by Eli Roth and Guillermo Amado, and stars a bunch of Chilean people and a couple white people.
And white
one
people.
black guy. And a bunch of natives. Pretty legitimate, right?
Sounds right.
Top billed is Eli Roth's wife, that everybody's angry about, apparently, too. Because they're accusing him of being Rob Zombie and casting his wife and everything. I'm like, they weren't married.
Well,
when
Rob
he
Zombie
made this
does
movie.
the same.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They're accusing him of being Rob Zombie because of the same thing. But
Oh, wow.
like I said, my point is they weren't married at the time that they made this movie. But I think I have other qualms, but we'll get into that. I suppose probably to start this discussion off, an appropriate place to be would be to just discuss how each of us probably feels about Eli Roth and his films so far, and then what we think about this particular movie and how it fits with our opinions or our expectations of something from him. And I guess we can start. I kind of already know where Chad is, so I kind of want to hear. Jesse is the one who saw this most recently. I'd like to hear what Jesse thinks of this whole matter.
Okay. Well, I like Eli Roth. I don't have any love or hatred towards. Like, I don't feel very strongly one way or the other. Although after this film, I felt strongly about something, but as a director, I think he's sort of interesting and he does interesting stuff. I don't love like the Hostel movie, like 1 and 2 that much. I don't like that Hostel is like a bro movie for the first 40 minutes and then becomes torture porn. I think
I
it's
sense a carryover.
Yeah, I think it's a good movie, and it was awesome to see a thing like that in theater and this and that. But it's not like I love it. I think for me, like Cabin Fever is the movie I like the most from him because I think tonally it's on point. It's aimed at the right audience. It kind of fires on the right cylinders for what it is. And I think that later on he kind of lost some. Well, I'm not going to talk about it yet, but I think that as a producer, he's far better. I think his production stuff is stronger, and I think I think that's about how I feel. I don't really like him or dislike him. I guess I kind of feel like lukewarm on him, but I think for Green Inferno, I felt very strongly about something about it, and we'll talk about that in a bit.
Okay. Chad, your opinion of Mr. Roth and his works so far?
I gotta admit I was kind of underwhelmed by Hostel. I liked Cabin Fever a lot more, and I think I'm with Jesse out of everything, minus this, because I'll get into my opinion on this later, but I think that I think Cabin Fever was probably my favorite up until seeing this, and I like. I don't know. I'm so he's done Hostel, Cabin Fever. This. What's the other one he's done?
That's it. Hostel 2, and Cabin Fever.
And Green
Inferno.
Inferno.
So he did do Hostel too.
Green Inferno, and he's got another movie coming out in another week or two called Knock Knock.
With that Keanu though.
Got that sad Keanu.
And Alex,
his wife.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think he's terrible. I think that after this, I respect him a lot more. I definitely think that he's got a different way of making movies than other people do. So I liked. I guess I'm kind of half and half on the movies he's directed. I think I'm also with Jesse. I think that he's produced a lot more, and I think that it's smarter on his part, for him probably to just do excuse me. Excuse me. I think that he's smart just because he doesn't have to. He can just kind of have someone else do it, and he can just do a movie. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I think that him making a movie like every 5 years or so, and then just going back to producing and having other people do it. I think that's smart. But
okay. Well,
he's okay.
I think so. My opinion of him has gone over a long period of time, but I gotta say that I have enjoyed all of his movies thus far. Going into this, I definitely was a fan of Cabin Fever, and I remember when Cabin Fever came out was at a time when the box office we didn't really get a whole lot of movies in the theater that were horror movies, so to speak. We had a lot of the teen Scream knockoff garbage had been coming out, and so he was kind of hailed as this new horror guy who was going to be this big thing, and they talked about Cabin Fever, which was kind of right around the time that Lionsgate was putting itself on the map as a studio that at the time cared about putting out horror movies and putting them into theaters. And I remember going to see that movie. I've seen all of his movies on opening night. And I remember going to see Cabin Fever, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I kind of loved it, and I loved how ridiculous it was at times. I loved the random humor that I guess probably comes from the fact that he worked for Trauma for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of get that sense, and there's always been this kind of thread of weird humor throughout his movies. I went to go see Hostel on opening night, and I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Cabin Fever. I remember liking Hostel 2 more, but thinking that, overall, both of them were pretty decent movies and enjoying them. So I guess when I heard about Green Inferno, I was intrigued because I was like, well, it's supposed to be a cannibal movie. It's going to be an Eli Roth movie. And, I'll give it a shot and see how it goes because I've liked his other stuff. And I guess the question is, the downside to it is I started hearing reviews as early as I think like late 2013. They started to kind of come out because it was doing some festival stuff. And they were not good. And I was not really sure how to feel about that. And I realized that there's a lot of people out there that want to hate Eli Roth for various reasons, and I can't necessarily pinpoint it except for the fact of, you look at Eli Roth, right? You see him in pictures, and he looks more like the dude that you would see hanging out with all the bros, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I off base on saying that? He's kind of usually pretty well put together, fairly stylish. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He definitely has enthusiasm for genre movies, for sure.
Which is good.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't doubt that he knows his stuff. So I definitely believe that he knows, his movies, and he has a passion for genre cinema. But he's got kind of a frat boy thing going on with him in a way that I think some folks in the horror community just don't like for one reason or the other. And maybe it's because he's not coming out being all like weird, crazy horror guy, and he kind of is very much about self-promotion, which is weird because I hear people complain about directors and their self-promotion and all this other stuff. And I'm like, but isn't that kind of your job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't really hate someone for doing that. And then probably the most recent argument that I've heard out of people is, oh, he doesn't fucking make movies anymore. He just produces them. And I'm like, well, that's kind of making movies.
Yeah. Smart idea.
Like, and maybe, and I don't know exactly why he decided to do that, but my guess is he worked on producing a movie and then he liked it. And you know what? Like, if he likes producing movies, then let him produce movies. I could see where people might say, well, okay, well, he produced movies and all of his movies that he produced sucked. Well, I don't know about that necessarily. I can say that I have not been a fan of all of the movies that he has worked on producing. I really liked The Last Exorcism, but Last Exorcism 2 was hot garbage. Aftershock should have just been called Rapequake. We'll get into it because I honestly think that Aftershock is a very important part into what would become Eli Roth as we know him now and what he does, and actually what would become the Green Inferno, because if you look, most of the people who were involved with Aftershock were involved with the Green Inferno directly. So that's kind of a very it pretty much should have been, because it was just like it was just like there's a fucking earthquake and all these prisoners get out and just start raping people. Like, that's pretty much what Aftershock was. And a lot of people fucking hate it. I did not hate it. I didn't think it was a great film. I don't even know if I thought it was a good film necessarily, but I didn't hate it. I think we did an episode on it, and I think I found enough to like about it, but I know several people that just cannot stand that. And you know, for better or for worse, it kind of cemented the trajectory that he's gone in since then. And part of it is he hooked up working with some Chilean filmmakers and crew that he's kind of stuck with since then. And that's including the woman that's in this movie that is now his wife, and several people that are in this movie. I believe the writer was involved with that as well, and he's also the guy that directed that movie that came out recently, The Stranger, which is not good. Eli Roth presents The Stranger, which is just a really bad movie. Like, I don't know, it was tough to watch. So again, you know, his production stuff, I get it. If that's what he wants to do, that's fine. But I don't necessarily hold the stuff he produces, I don't hold him as accountable for it, as I would say hold the people that wrote and directed those movies accountable for it. Now, he was involved in some of those capacities in some of them, so I can see that. But people have just kind of criticized him and saying, well, you don't direct anymore, so therefore you're not relevant. And I don't think that that's necessarily true, but I see a lot of that correlation between him and Rob Zombie in that aspect, because like Rob Zombie's only got, what, like 4 movies or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That are out at the moment.
I feel like he maybe has
5.
Like 1 movie ahead of him. No.
And
if you count that animated one.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people are kind of divided on him as well. And some people are just like, I fucking hate him. And some people are like,
People
oh,
just
I
don't like
fucking
new
love
people,
him.
that's all.
But that's like, what do we have other than that? Like, you think about it, and you think in the horror world, how many directors do we have that you know that director, and you feel like that director is like a force unto themselves and not just some guy who's making movies? Like, right, there's like a small handful of people at this point that are still working.
Mhm.
We obviously have a lot of the classic directors, but you don't have a lot of the new school directors, or at least the ones that have stuck with, you know, making purely genre films. And, you know, some of the folks have graduated up to doing larger movies and studio movies, and you know, for better or for worse, I think kind of what has hurt Roth's reputation is also the fact that he very quickly got in league with Quentin Tarantino, right? So Quentin Tarantino kind of put his name up above Hostel, which helped that for sure.
And then Inglourious Bastards and all that.
Yep, and then he put him in Inglourious Bastards. And I think, you know, quite frankly, I think a lot of people get jealous of the guy because he's probably better looking than most of us.
Oh, yeah,
probably
sure.
way more successful than any of us.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's just really easy to hate that. So you always got to try to sift through all of that shit when you're trying to figure out about a movie. And like I said, at the end of the day, you got to go see a movie yourself anyway to make up your mind for it. So I had heard all this negative shit about it, and I was like, well, you know, I'll go check it out and see what it's all about. And I guess my reaction is a bit mixed. At this point, I'm going to ask you, Jesse. So, what do you want to recap what the Green Inferno is about without giving any major spoilers?
Yeah, sure. So this girl is going to college. As you do, and she has a really annoying, horrible roommate. As you do. Probably one of the worst parts of the movie was that actor for that character.
Sky Ferreira or whatever.
Yeah, she's terrible.
Apparently she's a pop musician or something.
She's a shit musician, and she's a shit actor. Yeah. And she should be put in the space poop. She should be the poop that makes the potatoes for Matt Damon. Basically, the main character, the girl, she wants to get involved in activism because her dad works for the UN, and she's a white girl, and white girls have to get involved with activism. So she joins this group, and they're going to go to the Amazon to stop deforestation there, or stop a part of deforestation, this company that's taking down trees. And then she decides she wants to do it. And they go. And
you left out the part where it's because guy with guitar and fake mustache.
Oh, right, guy with guitar and fake mustache, kind of. lose her because she's a white girl, and they go down to the Amazon and they meet some contacts, and they stop this deforestation momentarily until they go to leave again. Their plane explodes and they are stuck with cannibals, and they have to deal with the cannibals, and that's the movie. For me, the movie was one of those films where I'm watching it, I'm going, well, this is really good. This part here is really good, and then, nah, this part's really bad. This part doesn't need to. This part doesn't need to be here. But wait, oh, this part's really good. I really like this part. And then, no, this really doesn't need to be here. And I like this movie. This movie's pretty good. I like it. I hate this movie. I can't watch it anymore. But it's okay now. I like this movie again. That's sort of how I felt when I was watching The Green Inferno. It has a okay, so like my qualms with the way I put it is that Eli Roth comes off with The Green Inferno as a really, really smart high schooler, in that he has something to say with his material, but he can't help but be very immature at times. And that's all well and good for me back when it was Cabin Fever in 2001 or whenever it came out.
Pancakes!
When I was like, and doing cakes and all that stuff. When I was super young, and he was super young, and we were all super young, and we all thought it was funny. But now it's, 14 years later, I feel that a lot of us have grown as people, and I think that I'm in a different place. I can still respect Cabin Fever for what it is, or what it was, and have an appreciation for it, but I've also known that I've grown, and I think that Eli Roth has not grown up, and his movies, or at least this one, shows that complete lack of self-control and that his ability to provide meaningful material to his script when it's there. It can be said, it can be done with, but he can't somehow render those ideas completely. And that I just felt very back and forth with Green Inferno the whole time. I did appreciate it. I thought it was rather gross and terrifying at times. The practical effects were excellent. There was, the typical fashion of these very annoying characters and their annoyance played out in a good way, except for that roommate who I think was just fucking terrible. But I think as a whole, I kind of stepped away from it going, well, that was really cool to see a cannibal film in 2015 in the theater. But, I wasn't in love with it, is what I'll say. And I think it's a very divisive movie. But if you're able to sit there and piece it out, I think it's hard to, completely hate it. I think there is stuff there that's really, really cool. But as a whole, I couldn't love it.
Okay, and that's fair enough. Chad?
Yeah.
Your review of the Cheetos Bag of Bones, Green Inferno.
The Green Inferno. I as much as you guys were not.
I haven't even said my piece yet. I haven't even said my piece.
Oh, okay.
Yet, so.
I thought you had already said your piece on it.
Nope.
Hold on real quick. Are you okay? Oh my gosh. My girl, okay. I'm sorry to do this. My girlfriend just came out of the room and told me that the lead singer of the Spin Doctors is now following her on Twitter.
That's
and
okay.
She totally screwed up my whole train of thought. And
well, if a homeless guy was following me on Twitter, I'd probably be like,
if a homeless guy was following me on Twitter, I'd be.
If Richard Jenkins from Third Eye Blind was following me on Twitter.
Okay, so that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Okay, so I was in love with this movie. I really was. I really think that the only issue I have, and I don't have, well, it's my only issue, is the CGI ants. That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty jarring.
It was pretty
CGI
corny
animals
and-
in general, bro. That jaguar.
So now what's funny is I didn't really notice that the jaguar was CGI.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm being serious. I did not even notice that it was
Looks like
CGI.
a video game.
Turok.
What is it?
Turok. Did you ever play Turok?
That dinosaur.
Turok.
That
It was
dinosaur
based off that
game.
Valiant comic. Yeah, it was based off a comic.
Yeah.
I didn't like that game. I thought it was dumb. Okay, so other than that, I don't
dumb.
have any issue. I'm dumb.
You're dumb.
Huh. Yeah.
No.
I'm also not a gamer, so that didn't help.
No,
I
I'm
just
kidding.
didn't like the. No, I know. I just didn't like the comic either.
No, yeah, no, it's pretty lame in retrospect.
It was good back in like '98. It just doesn't hold up.
I read the Turok novels when I was
terrible.
in middle school, so what does that say about me?
It says that you have problems.
Yeah, it says that you're dumb too.
Yeah, well, I know.
Okay.
Hey, all right.
Okay,
children,
so-
come on.
Yes.
Don't make me turn this car around.
We're on the edge of 17, bro. Okay. All right. So, I'm not really a big fan of the cannibal movies. I didn't like Cannibal. I don't know if it was Cannibal Holocaust or Cannibal.
Ferox.
Was there? Yeah, I don't know which one I saw a long time ago, but I just thought it was stupid, and I get that that those movies inspired this movie, and I get that, but I was just never in love with them like other people are. This
I don't know
one,
that many people that are actually in love with those
Just
movies.
James Harris.
well, no, I have a couple friends that are really deep into those movies.
But there's
and
an
that
equal,
word,
if not more, amount of people that cannot watch those movies for various reasons, and
Mhm.
one of them happens to be because of the animal stuff that's in them,
That's something that bothers me too.
which is not in this movie. So just in
Right.
case anybody hasn't seen this, this movie doesn't have any of that animal violence stuff.
No dead turtles.
Mhm.
In fact, if anything, they're just like, "Yo, bro,
No,
animals be cool.
It
Look
was
at this
dumb.
jaguar on a rock."
he's gonna keep walking.
Anyway,
So, shit. So where was I?
damn.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I don't. Yeah. So, I don't really have any. I don't have any issues. I like the humor. I know, and I see what Jesse says. That he hasn't really grown. And like matured. In that kind of toilet kind of trauma humor kind of deal. I kind of look forward to it, and I don't think that it was as rampant in this movie as it would be in, maybe Hostel, or or even Cabin Fever. And that's just me. Maybe I didn't notice it, but there was definitely a lot of his goofy kind of humor, though. Like when you have Jonah being dissected. And this was I think that a lot of people have said that this was the highlight of the movie. Was oh shit, excuse me. Is he's still screaming as his entire body is being picked apart, as his head is being removed from his body. He's still screaming, and that's classic K&B. That's classic Eli Roth. But even the decapitation scene is kind of when the plane goes down, that there's a little humor in that because it's pretty stupid too. But I don't think that this movie had that kind of over the. I don't. Well, hold on.
I'm gonna let you finish, bro.
All right.
But Beyonce
I
has
don't
the best album of all time.
Yep. So I don't think that this was. It was still an Eli Roth movie, but I personally think that it was his best to date. I definitely think that. I definitely think that this is probably his best effort. I think that there was a lot of creativity in this. I think that, like you guys said, he had something to say, and he was just kind of dumb about it. I see that, but I still think that I think that this movie needed to be made, because we're living in such a PC world that, the fact that the one chick, didn't she say like someone like what's her name, Sky, whatever her name is, the blonde one. She had like said retarded and gay I feel like it was a couple times, and normally I feel like that's just
no
kind of a
different
no-no in
than
movies.
yeah, but that's no different than any of his other movies. Like
Yeah, but I
he
mean,
has that
like,
kind of
he
stuff
hasn't
all
made a
over.
movie in what? In like
7
8 years? It's a little bit different now. Okay. So it's a little bit different than it was 7 years ago.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Depends on who you ask.
Especially since this year. Well, I mean, everyone's so fucking, their asses are so tight it seems this year, and like everyone's just so fucking offended by everything. So I think this is the kind of movie that, personally, I think this is the kind of movie that we needed, just because it was so on PC. It was so
like, yo, we need more movies with the
unapologetic.
word retard in them.
Yeah, sure. So I definitely liked it. I thought it was. I definitely liked it. I loved it. I will definitely pick it up when it comes on Blu-ray. I would see it again in the theater. Actually, I would actually go see it again. And I will say that the only scene, and I think Sean Savage was telling me he thought, that maybe it could have been like cut down by 20 minutes or so, but
yeah.
I could see that being the case. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's a little.
It was longer than I thought it would be. I thought it was only going to be like an hour and a half, but I never take into like fucking. I never take into trailers at the theater, and I usually forget that doesn't really count either. But I don't know. I will say the only other issue that I really had was the mid-credit scene.
Oh,
I thought
that's
that was kind of pointless.
Fucking dumb.
And weren't they talking about doing a sequel?
Supposedly there's going to be a sequel, and he's not directing it.
But I mean, after a movie like this, do you really need a sequel? I mean, is it a direct sequel, or is it just by name?
I don't know. And after what happened this weekend and what people have been talking about, I don't know if it'll actually happen or not.
Everyone's
Wait, what
favorite Chileans will be back in the sequel.
Except
Star
for the
power.
fact that all of them
Star
died.
power.
Yeah.
All.
We'll
I
just
did
bring
like.
back the natives in the red paint.
Yeah, I'd watch that movie.
Me too.
I did like.
Well, they were the best.
I did like that. Yeah, they were. I did like that. Because I originally thought like they were just, all extras, and again, Sean Savage informed me that
those are
it was
real
kind of a
ass villagers.
I know, so I thought that was kind of amazing.
And
that
actually
they were able to get that cooperation.
The two main people in that tribe that you see, they weren't actors. They, from what I understand, they were actual village people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean like dressed up like cowboys and,
Mm-hmm.
and cops and stuff like that. So,
I thought. Has there been any reaction from other countries about this movie yet?
there's been people, of course, who say that it's irresponsible to go and talk to these people who they've never even seen a movie and be like, yo, we want to put you in a movie, and then show them Cannibal Holocaust, and then they think it's supposed to be funny, and then they watch it. And so then he's like, oh, be in my movie, and we will do this. So there's people that are like, oh, you're exploiting them, but whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the least of my concerns when it comes to this movie.
Okay.
Right? So, I mean, do you have anything else that you want to say before I start kind of going into what I think about it? Or?
I will say I know a lot of people were annoyed by the characters and I think that they're kind of missing the point of those characters. I think that if you're annoyed by those characters, then that's the point of them.
Yes
Like,
and no. And I said yes and no, but I can get.
Well, it's like the kid in Babadook. You're supposed to be annoyed by it. You're supposed to kind of, want to punch the kid in the face, and there's a reason for this happening.
Yeah, but there's some differences here. There's I feel like that movie, well, it is just as on the nose and blatant and whatnot about what its ultimate purpose is. I feel like that movie is way more subtle in some ways, and I almost feel like it has a lot more to actually say. Like, and I can't really get into it without going into my whole tirade, because once I go off, I'm gonna.
Okay, no, that's fine. All right, so Simadana.
So, okay, so my kind of thoughts on this movie overall, I am very much probably along the same lines as Jesse, wherein that I didn't dislike this movie, and I'm going to put this out there first, because there seems to be a lot of people that are very passionately feeling that you either have to love this movie or you fucking hate it. And I am not in either of those camps. I don't think it's a terrible movie. I also don't think that it's a fucking great movie that's going to save the face of horror, blah, blah, blah. I don't feel like any of that is true. I feel like this is just a movie that has a lot of problems, that is entertaining enough that I would watch it, but I don't feel that this is Eli Roth's best movie by far. I still think if I was to pick like one of my favorite movies, I mean, I'm still going to kind of go back to Cabin Fever. Part of that's nostalgia, but I mean, I still think even Hostel 2 is better than this movie. And I like Hostel 2 better than I like the first Hostel, to be honest with you. So as far as that goes, I mean, I just want to put that out there, because people tend to assume that you're either attacking a movie or that you're praising it, and I'm not really doing either. I feel like the biggest problem that this movie commits is that, as Jesse said, I feel like Eli Roth had an idea of what he wants to say and had a point, and he's definitely come out in interviews and stuff recently and said, talking about the social justice warriors and all this stuff, and how he wanted to make a movie where these kids that don't really know anything and pick up this cause and don't really actually have any personal connection to it and don't know what they're getting into, and they're naive and they're stupid, and they go out there and then, oh, hey, they accidentally crashed the plane and end up where the people that they were just trying to save now think that they're the bad guys and are killing them. And I get that, and that sounds great on paper, but the way it's executed here I don't think works as well. I mean, I get that this is an homage to all the cannibal movies, that we had, the Italian cannibal movies, even though it's really kind of nothing like those in a lot of ways, but it's definitely an homage to it. There's definitely some of the requisite scenes that you would expect to see in there. Thankfully, there's none of the animal violence that's in there, which is a good thing, because that, I mean, that's the part that always gets me, and you're just like, I mean, I get what they were doing with those movies, but that was very much from the Mondo side of things at the time, where those movies grew out of these documentaries or faux documentaries that were coming out about quote-unquote savage people in these jungles and whatnot. You kind of have some of that playing into here. But again, I feel like, Eli Roth had these ideas for what he wanted to make into a movie, but I don't necessarily think he was successful with it in a lot of ways, because I do feel like the characters were obnoxious in a lot of ways, and I don't think it's necessarily just because of the exposition or the dialogue that's in there, because I mean, let's face it, you go back and you look at most of his movies, and a lot of the characters have a lot of really bad dialogue. It's kind of like Jesse was talking about with Hostel. Like, one of the things that everybody that complains about that movie complains about is how it's a quote-unquote bro movie, where he was trying to basically make a sex comedy for the beginning part of it, and then it's supposed to turn into a horror movie, right? And he kind of did that here, but the problem is that opening, we don't need 40 minutes to get to know these fucking characters, because these characters are no deeper than that quick explanation of a bunch of idiots who are fucking hashtag activists, right? Like, that's all you need. They could have cut down that entire fucking first 40 minutes of this movie into like 15 minutes to just give a quick explanation of who these people are, because they're so superficial and so not deep in any way that they're basically just archetypes, and you can get all of that across very quickly without making me sit through 40 minutes of stuff, especially with that roommate who has no bearing on the actual fucking story other than she just complains and kind of is like, hey, maybe you shouldn't go. Oh, no, wait. Go ahead.
Yeah, wait,
Like-
well, I want to say one more thing before you go.
Yeah.
Never mind. Bye.
Exactly. Like,
Economica has the best album of all time.
like we don't need that, right? So that is a problem. I think that there's a lot of stuff here that's pretty cool with the intense stuff that they're doing with some of the horror, but I gotta go with the humor in this movie is just not balanced out with what it's doing, because when this movie is getting, you know, brutal or intense or doing what it's doing, and then you just immediately cut back and some girl's like, yo, I gotta take a shit, and then you hear these horrible comical fart noises coming, and the guy masturbating and staring at the guy while he's masturbating. Like, these are all things that would have their place in, like, a ridiculous sex over-the-top comedy or something. And they could have played this movie that way, and I think it almost could have worked in a lot of ways if they had done it. But the rest of, like, there are just so many parts of this where it's like, yo, take me seriously. And then next thing you know, it's just, like, diarrhea humor. And
Yeah,
it's like... And it's like, I could forgive that if it's one time, but it keeps happening. You know, like, oh, hey, we're going to fucking get these people high. And the guy's like, literally says, oh, these are cannibals. They eat weed for breakfast. And I'm like, you're fucking kidding me, right? Like, you just said that? They eat weed for breakfast? And then he's like, oh, shit, they got the munchies. Like, come on.
Well, I think before I went to see the Green Inferno, I tweeted out, I was like, going to see Green Inferno, let's see how many weed jokes Eli Roth puts in this movie. And I was like, yeah, that's one whole entire weed gag in this movie. And yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's extremely jarring to the point that it makes you flinch. Like, I was like shifting uncomfortably when they had to put in, like, you know how they put like the ADR of like the shit noises and stuff like that in the film. You're just like,
those were like I was just like, oh my god, like I almost felt embarrassed to be in the movie theater watching that.
I went with a friend of mine, and I just, cause like, I hope he doesn't hate me after seeing this movie.
Well, and especially because like it does so well with some of the stuff. I mean, like, yeah, the movie is about, like, I don't know, 15, 25 minutes, 20 minutes is probably a fair number. Like what you were saying, Chad, like you were saying, Sean said. But here's the thing: when your movie is is an hour and 40 minutes long, I think this is, and you're saying 20 minutes can be cut out, that's like a good 20% of the runtime of the movie that's not needed, and that is a problem. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna make a movie that's approaching the 2-hour mark like that, you gotta have a reason, and I feel like the extra exposition that we are given in the beginning is really not there for anything. The only other thing that whole opening sequence does is set up specifically foreshadowing for how some of these people are going to die and what's going to happen to them. But it's so on the nose that within that, like, first half an hour, I was like, oh, someone's going to get bit by ants. Oh, female genital mutilation is going to fucking happen. Like, things like that where it's just like, it's not necessarily like a terrible thing. Like, foreshadowing can be okay, right? But there are better ways to put poop jokes in your movie. And we saw one last week, or like 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, when we talked about The Visit. The Visit has a much better poop joke in the movie.
No, yeah, it has a very well executed poop joke.
And it does not jar the tone, and that movie successfully blends like the ridiculous, over-the-top horror stuff with shit comedy in a way. And I hate to say this, but like fucking M. Night Shyamalan or whatever, Shyamalan.
Shyamalan the ding dong.
Shyamalan a ding dong. But that dude, like, he managed to pull that up. And that movie's got problems too. That movie has a lot of similar issues where there's a lot of stuff that's set up in the beginning that verbatim ends up paying itself off in the end, but it feels, I guess, a little bit less awkward in that film because throughout the tone is fairly consistent, and you don't have like this crazy like score that's going on with all this jungle tribal stuff. And I guess the problem is this movie goes from like super serious to like super stupid, and then back several times, right? Because what's up?
I'm just saying, like, it's a shame because there are some like really, like, I was like pretty like I was gripping my hands at certain points, especially when that old lady takes out that claw thing and is inspecting the girls and doing all that kind of stuff, and when she's actually like, towards the end when she is faced with her character's sort of pivotal moment of what they're gonna do to her, like that made me really uncomfortable. And there's parts in that movie where I like it's really effective, like it's really terrifying, and then it's like it goes limp on me again. But
yeah, well, and she's probably the best thing in the
Going
movie
for
as far
it.
as actors go. Like and that is his wife, and so again, like I don't have any problem with him casting who was probably at that time his girlfriend. It's Lorenza Izzo, and she does a good job in here. And she, like at the very, very end, there's some tacked on bullshit that just feels like it doesn't need to be there. Like they really should have just ended the movie with what happens and not tacked on the scene where there's a bunch of old white people sitting around a table, right? Like they could have not done that, and then especially not tacked on the shit that happens during the credits. Like that's just flat out stupid. But I think the other problem is like a bunch of the actors that are in the movie, especially main dude with guitar, he is not good at all.
No.
Like he is not good, and I feel like the biggest problems that I have with this, besides the tonal inconsistencies, is I really feel like you have this weird thing where you get that, like a filmmaker comes over from another country, and they're kind of doing their thing, but they also kind of try to Americanize it.
John Woo?
Yeah, and it doesn't quite work, right? Something just feels off, and you're like, that guy made fucking great. So like John Woo made great movies when he was doing all the Hong Kong stuff, and then he comes here and makes this weird fucking movie that just feels awkward, and everything that was his signature touch, it's like somebody forced him to put it in here, and now it just doesn't feel like it belongs. And I feel like there's a lot of that in here, and I feel like a lot of the problem with that is like something happened somewhere along the line where Eli Roth went to Chile and was like, hey, I like these people that make these movies, and now I'm going to work with just them. And that's fine, but there is definitely this weird, I can't even really explain it, but it's almost like a palpable thing, right? Like you can almost like feel the pulling apart of the movie as it's happening, in my opinion. Again, like I said, there are people that love this movie. I do not love it, but I feel like there are some people that got cast in this movie that should not have been in this movie, that are just really terrible actors, and I can forgive that if the movie is supposed to be goofy and stupid and over the top, but there's so much in here when it gets intense and just like straightforward that it just does not work when you're going back and forth. Like, I mean, in these kind of movies, and when he's done it in the past, usually he sets up all the goofy stuff towards the front, and then shit gets real, and then it kind of tends to stay real, quote unquote. Minus in, I think, Hostel, they did bring the joke back where they ran over those kids with the car. Super hilarious, because it was like, so that works, right? Because it's like this one isolated thing that happens, and it's so dumb and over the top. But when you just keep like constantly like hammering back at like these dumbass jokes that could have probably worked if the movie wasn't taking itself so seriously during the other parts, then I have a problem. So it's more of a tonal inconsistency thing, and then also I feel like there's people in the movie that are just not good actors, and then I also feel like there's definitely some script issues that could have to do with translating things onto the paper. But things that I do like about the movie, I really do like the effects that are in there.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way it looks. Like it looks like it's way more expensive than I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
The movie looks great for the
Well,
most part.
it's nice like a location movie too. Like
Yep.
there's a lot of great, you know, not globetrotting because it's not really globetrotting, but like
Well,
location,
right.
like stuff like them hanging around in this like small town in the Amazon. Like it's really pretty.
Yep, and there's some tense scenes like the scene when they go to stop to try to stop the bulldozers and stuff like that towards the beginning is fairly tense, even though it is also semi-predictable what's happening there, but it is still fairly tense. And then the color palette that they use, I like really how they pop out a lot of the reds and yellows and greens and stuff like that. It looks great. The music when it's used the way it should be is really good. You know, I feel like I said, I feel like the lead actress she does a pretty good job. I feel like the special effects are great. Like so there's a lot in here to like. It's one of those things where I cannot get past the awkwardness in some of the tone of the movie. And that's not me saying that it's not living up to these other cannibal movies, 'cause I'm not like a big, huge fan of cannibal movies. I mean, I truly think that Cannibal Holocaust is a great movie. It is a movie that makes me very uncomfortable and that I don't like sitting through and watching, but I really think that it is a very good movie. And if you want to see the story of a bunch of people coming into coming across a cannibal tribe and basically showing that they're not the good people that you would think that they should be, that movie does a much better job, whereas this one just kind of has a bunch of characters that from the beginning are fairly obnoxious, and then surprise, surprise, like they become even more obnoxious. And then there's like random 9/11 references in the movie that is also really weird. So, you know, it's a tonal thing for me, and again, I think I gave this like 3 stars out of 5 or something like that, which I was very much like, this is not a bad movie. It's above average. I think I just wish it was better. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I just really wish it was better. And I will watch it again. I will pick it up and add it to my collection. And I think it's certainly better than Rapequake. I mean, Aftershock.
Rapequake.
Yeah, if you haven't
love
seen
that
it,
name,
Chad, you need to watch it and you'll completely.
Which one is this again?
It's the movie that Eli Roth wrote and he was in it, and it was directed by I think Nicholas Lopez, who is I think a producer on this particular movie. And it's basically got a whole bunch of so the lead actress was in it. The dude who gets bit by the ants in this movie is in it.
Yeah.
So no, what is the real name of it though?
Oh, it's called Aftershock. It might be on Netflix. It was on Netflix at one point.
But I do think the Green Inferno is good for discussion. Some of those movies that you can talk about even because it's so problematic. So that's what I liked about it. I think more than anything is sort of the conversation. But the conversation, I've seen a lot of it lately, has just been kind of really.
Well, it's very much just people taking sides and then yelling at each other.
Yeah, and it's like you shouldn't like it's a product, it's a person. He's creating something. You don't always have to take a side, and you can sit back and examine it, and you can really really love it, and that's cool, and you can really really hate it, and that's fine. But I mean, I think it shouldn't be so. I think the conversation we've seen of it has been really like there's been a lot of nastiness about it, which I don't think is necessary. Because there's a lot of like, I don't know if it's jealousy or whatever it is, but there's just a lot of negativity surrounding Eli Roth at all times, which I find very unfair.
And you have like the group of people that are like, well, if you don't support this movie, then you're not supporting horror, and that's not true. Again, this movie did not make a whole bunch of money at the box office. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a failure. I don't think this movie was that expensive to be made, and quite frankly, I don't think they put much marketing budget in here, because if Blumhouse put it out, he's probably doing it under one of his deals, Jason Blum, where they're not going to spend that much money on marketing. And one of the problems with this movie, the reason it didn't do bigger numbers, is because A, You had a sequel to an animated family film that was opening up the same weekend, where everybody's gonna fucking take their kids, and those movies just tend to steal the spotlight. But then B, like the ad campaign for this that was in the theaters, is it just me, or like did you guys only see mostly the trailers that were just a black screen with a bunch of noises and then maybe some shots of people reacting to it that said nothing about what the movie was about? Nothing about the movie, period, except for like you didn't see this movie or the movie that you weren't supposed to see, which is hilarious because this movie was not pulled because of the content. This movie didn't come out last year because there was financial problems with one of the companies that was backing it that was arguing about shit. So all of that is just quote unquote the hype machine. But I don't think that they capitalized on any of it. And I don't think that the normal people out there, normies quote unquote, who are out there, I don't think that they were aware of this movie or what it was or gave two shits about it. And at the end of the day, all of us fucking people that love horror movies can get up and go out and see a movie, and we're not going to amount to much more than a few $1,000s. I'm sorry. Like, that's just the way that it is, right? Like, if this movie needs to make money and be successful, they have to bring in the mainstream audience, who, A, I don't know if they could handle this movie, period. But also, B, like, they're not aware of it. Like, we are very aware of it, and I think a lot of times we forget that we live in this bubble where we know about all this shit. But your average person who normally only goes to see Avengers movies and Marvel movies and the occasional Batman movie, they're not gonna fucking know about.
They're not gonna get, and no, I mean nobody. Yeah, most normal people don't even. Not even most casual, like you said, horror fans are not into cannibal movies. Like cannibal movies is not really a thing, and it's sort of a really like. I don't think a normal person be like, oh, I just can't wait to see a cannibal movie. Haunted ghost story for sure.
Yeah.
Or haunted house story. I mean, for sure, a ghost story for sure. Ouija 2, yes, but like, cannibals is like a weird, gross area for a lot of people. I mean, it's associated with like exploitation films, and that's not really a thing anymore.
Well, and then they didn't even like if you look at the commercials that were playing in the theater, at least. I mean, I know if you go online and look on YouTube, you can find trailers like the one I played that kind of show some stuff. But literally, the first commercial that I ever saw for this movie, the first trailer I ever saw, was just a black screen with a bunch of noise and somebody screaming, and then it was like the Green Inferno.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one that came out was the same thing, except they just put night vision shots of people in an audience reacting to something. And then they were just like, the movie you weren't supposed to see, Eli Roth's The Green Inferno, and that's it. That's not enough to sell these crowds. If the people are there to see fucking, I mean, number one, they weren't all out in droves to see stuff like Sinister 2 to begin with or whatever, right? But the people that were there, they're either going to know exactly what this is, or they're going to be like, I don't know what this is, and that just has no interest to me. So that's a problem too. So, people want to blame, and if you're going to go out and shame people for not having seen this, like, because people are doing that, fucking take a look at it. Take a look at the source. Like, why did people not go see this? And you can't expect that every fucking horror movie is going to open up to like $20 million. And it's not necessarily a failure because it only brought in $3 million. Like, I'm pretty sure that this movie at the end of the day is going to end up being profitable. So, take that for what you will, but that's my 2 cents on that piece of it. But the rest of it just seems to be people that are either saying, hey, if you don't love this movie, then you're not supporting the genre, or you just hate Eli Roth. And then the other half of the people are just being like, oh, well, you're just stupid if you like this. And it's like, well, come on, guys. Like, we all have different tastes, right? Mm-hmm. Chad likes Mannequin 2.
There you go.
I have no desire to ever watch Mannequin 2
that was
again.
your whole point.
But so I get it, and I can see where people would like it, and that's fine. And I'm not saying that people are wrong for it, and I'm not saying that Eli Roth didn't have a point when he went to go make this. Because I get that. I get that he was intending a lot of the stuff. I just think, in my opinion, my personal opinion, that he just didn't do a great job of translating it, at least to the point that I would like to see it. And I get it. There's stuff in there that's stupid that's probably supposed to be stupid. But to me, that's fine. But if he did it and he did it on purpose, then that just means that there's tonal inconsistency that I don't like. And some people don't mind that. But to me, it just was so jarring that it took me out of stuff. And as soon as I'm taken out of it and I'm cringing, not because I'm like, scared or overwhelmed or uncomfortable about it, but I'm cringing because I'm like, what the fuck did they just do, and why did they think that I wanted to see that? That's a problem to me. So, again, at the end of the day, I still think it's an RA movie. But would I recommend that people see this? Sure. I would recommend that everybody go and watch this and make up your mind for yourself. But I say that about most things, unless I really don't like them. So, go see it, make up your mind for yourself. But I wouldn't say that you're wrong for not running out to the theater to go and see it if you wanted to wait until it came to VOD or something. I could see that. So, that's my opinion. Sound like you got something you want to say, Chad?
No, I'm. You keep I keep hearing you cut out, so I'm just trying to catch up.
Gotcha.
That's probably my computer's fault.
Either way, I guess Jesse, do you recommend people check this movie out?
Yeah, if you like horror movies, I think you should see it. It has something to offer for horror fans. Whether you'll really like it or not, I'm not entirely sure. But I think there's stuff to appreciate in it. It's always good to support horror movies to go see it. And yeah, I think it's very rare we have a film like this in theaters, so maybe take advantage of it, regardless of your feelings and yeah, just check it out for sure.
All right. And Chad, your final recommendation on whether or not people should watch this and how they should see it.
I definitely think seeing it on the big screen can definitely help. I do recommend it. I'm sure people are probably just going to wait to see it till it comes on Netflix or Redbox. I think this is a good big screen movie. I think it's a good Halloween. I don't want to say it's a good Halloween season movie because like I said, I really enjoyed it. And I'm guessing that the only reason it was released so close or this time of year was just because Halloween, and I don't know. But anyway, I
think they also just had
I recommend
a spot. Like honestly, if you notice, there really hasn't been a whole ton coming out the last few weeks, so they probably just had a slot on there. I don't know. Obviously, maybe my experience would be different if I had seen it in a movie theater that had more than just one weird guy sitting all the way in the back of the theater. But maybe if I'd seen this with a crowd and been able to get some sort of reaction, but I was basically just watching this on a large screen almost by myself, and so for me it didn't quite work out as well. But that doesn't mean that I don't think people shouldn't watch it. But I also, like I said, I wouldn't fault somebody for wanting to go see something else over this, because there's a lot of good stuff that's coming out right now, or at least stuff that looks interesting to me. So, all right. So, I think that's pretty much going to do it for our discussion here. It's a little bit late, and I want to go to sleep. I got to go to work tomorrow, which is Saturday. I have to work this weekend because of bullshit that I'm not happy about.
Lame.
So I guess either of you two have anything else that you want to add before we call it?
No Doyle rules.
Those Mario Kart physics, though.
The Mario Kart physics stuff.
Seriously, the only place where driving over a banana peel will make you fall off a cliff.
This is an Adam Sandler movie.
Kart. in an Adam Sandler movie. Chad, do
Yes.
you have anything else you want to add before we...
Happy 65th anniversary to Peanuts.
There you
Those
go.
peanuts, though?
Yeah, Snoopy. That football, though. Lucy's a
Okay.
bitch.
All right, well, we will be back in a week, and we're going to talk about a
I
movie
won't.
which may or may not be Deathgasm. Chad will not be back, and then we're going to take the rest of October off. So that means you don't have to worry about hearing any more bullshit from us for another month after that, give or take.
Oh, that's gonna suck.
Yeah, but I mean, there's stuff going on, so I'm sure that we will find other things to occupy our time, right? I mean, I know personally, like I have three trips probably going on this month, so it's gonna be a little bit hectic. But we'll be back in November. I don't know exactly what we're reviewing when we come back at that point, but we'll definitely be back, and then probably around that time is when we're going to start working on our Wes Craven retrospective. So if you want to check those out, we will be probably doing one Wes Craven episode and then also doing one episode of Dead Air. And then probably like late November or early December is going to be our 100th Dead Air episode. So we'll probably do something for that. Yeah, well, we're at 96 now, so we got 4 more, and then we'll hit 100. Even though it's like I said, it's a little bit confusing because I'm pretty sure that there's over 200 episodes of stuff that's been recorded, but we're only at like 100 of this particular show and format. So, yeah, so that'll be coming. I have no idea what we're doing with that. Right now, I just need to make it through the rest of this month. So that's all coming down the pipe, and that'll be cool. So if you want to check out our other stuff in the meantime, you can go to deadairpodcast.net. Check that out. We're on iTunes. You can check that out. Find us on Facebook and friend us, like us, whatever you want to call it. And, if you want to leave comments on the page or send us messages through there, we do respond. You can also drop us an email if you want to at deadairpodcast@gmail.com. Or deadairhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. I'm going to get that fixed by the end of the year. I'm going to actually purchase an email address. But for now, send them there. And in the show notes, there's a phone number if you want to leave us a voicemail. If you leave us a voicemail, we'll play it on the show. So that's what's coming. And, of course, we record live on Fridays, usually around like 9:30-ish. Most of the time, and that's at deadairpodcast.net/live. So with that being said, Chad, tell people what you want to tell them about your site and your Twitter and all that good stuff.
Twitter, Instagram, just look me up under Horror Movie Barbecue. And for my blog, it's HorrorMovieBBQ.com. And don't forget to visit HorrorSexy.com.
All right.
Sorry.
Jesse.
Go to google.com, enter @DestroySuperman, and just inhale everything you see.
Just fap away.
Yeah, just fap.
Fap away. Fap away.
Cream pie.
Clean your screen afterwards.
Make sure that you got that spray-on cleaner.
Yeah, that's right.
I am on Twitter @DeadAirJeff. And then for the rest of it, pretty much all those other places that I just told you to find us, you can go to. So with that being said, thank you, Chad and Jesse, for sitting down talking about this. Thank you to everyone out there who is listening. We really appreciate it. And we are very happy that you guys are checking us out every week and giving us your time on things. And then, we'll see you guys back here in a week to talk about something
Wicker Man
of some sort. And if you keep bugging us, we might actually do Wicker Man commentary. I don't know. Maybe next week we'll talk about like movies on our Halloween playlist as well.
Oh.
That could be something to talk about because it's Halloween season, which is part of the reason we're not doing this. So anyway, we'll catch you guys here next week. Till then, don't fucking die.
Flatliners. I'm gonna bounce off, dude. I will. So you're working this weekend? Is that what you said?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Dude, you've been breaking up for like the past half hour. Like I've been having the most difficult time hearing you. Can you still hear me?
The